Okay, we are live.
Hello and welcome. I'm Nosh, your GM, and joining me today are Ronki, Rigel Kent, and Mel. And we also welcome today a new player, Nikki. It's good to have you with us. We are playing an adventure set in the exciting world of J.R.R. Tolkien's Middle-earth, using the very adaptable GURPS rule set by Steve Jackson Games. Our VTT of choice is Fantasy Grounds. Today's adventure is adapted from Free League Publishing's The One Ring role-playing game, and we will also beg and borrow rules from the GURPS Dungeon Fantasy lineup. And credit goes to all creators of these works, including the Ring Bearer font by Pete Clausen. You can find this and past sessions on YouTube and as audio-only podcasts. Links are in the video descriptions. And if you enjoy our content, please like this video and subscribe to our Twitch and YouTube channels. And with that, we'll begin. So I wanted to share with you a few notes on the setting and some of the rules that I've patched together, or at least was inspired by from the One Ring role-playing game. But we'll start with the setting here. So this is my take on Tolkien's Legendarium, and it doesn't include a magic system per se. So rather, magic is how men and hobbits, and likely some dwarves, now view what wondrous things the elves and the Dunedain and the dwarves of old were able to fashion from the power of their craft. Arda, the created world, is infused with Eru Iluvatar's blessing. Morgoth sought to always undo that beautiful creation through corruption. So the created world is both imbued with Eru's blessing and Morgoth's curse. Elves, in particular, have sought to only enhance the blessing of Eru, and their craft reveals this. Their cloaks, their ropes, their boats, their waybread, all of it is somehow blessed. Mere mortals will see this as inherently magical. Is King's Foil a magical herb, or is it a potent herb with healing properties that naturally grew on the land or the island of Numenor, the land of gift, raised from the sea by the Valar? True, Gandalf will talk putting a spell on things, or will light acorns on fire. However, my take is that Gandalf, who is more than a mere conjurer of tricks, is chiefly putting his powers as a divine being, a Maiar, into a framework that the hobbits and the Fellowship can understand. Gandalf really doesn't go into much of an explanation of why he is a servant of the secret fire, nor what that precisely is. How exactly can a mortal fully comprehend the divine? Well, it's magical, of course. So anyway, I've tried to blend both Dungeon Fantasy and the One Ring role-playing game somewhat. Dungeon Fantasy for the simplicity of some rules for the setting, and the One Ring for its use of hope and shadow points as an interesting mechanic on how to represent the corrupting power of the enemy and the opposing power of faith itself. And now we'll talk a little bit about those hope points. So hope is a character's reserve of spiritual fortitude and positivity. Your hope score equals your IQ. IQ is, quote, the measure of your reason, sanity, and willpower. And you can spend hope points to assist your character in different ways. And you can keep track of your hope score from the resources tab on your character sheet. And we'll get into spending those hope points in a moment, but hope is something you can recover by rest, having a good night's rest, undisturbed, either in an inn or in a residence or at a camp that meets the conditions of the comfort requirement out of Dungeon Fantasy 16. This will restore 1 point of hope. But as well, if you hear a story and song, the shadow may be oppressive, but its eternal enemy, faith, is equally resilient. And all manner of tales of valor, heroics, and goodness can inspire listeners to hope. Any character who can recount a tale of heroism, self-sacrifice, or the good in an entertaining way, in other words, singing or reciting an epic tale or a poem or performing a piece of music that can invoke the same, all of those can restore 1 point of hope. Critical success will restore 2 points. And if a character has enthrallment, sway emotions, or persuade, a successful roll will restore 2 points of hope, and a critical success will restore 3. And of course, any of these skills will involve an FP cost equal to the hope points restored. So there is a little bit of drain on the person who does the performing. And finally, hope can be restored in full over a 3-month period of rest and recuperation. In the One Ring, they call that period Yule, the winter months when no campaigning is going on. But perhaps it could be an extended sabbatical in a place like Imladris, for instance. Anyway, in that 3-month period, all hope is restored. So let's see about spending hope point. So players can spend up to 2 hope points in the same way you can spend character points or fatigue points to gain bonuses and turn failures into successes. I know we don't really play that, but at least it's listed in the rules as written. Each point of hope gives a +1 to a success roll, a maximum of +2 if you spend 2 points. 5 points of hope can change a critical failure into a critical success. This is a one-time reroll of any trait. A player can't continue to spend hope if the initial reroll fails, though. However, as you lower your hope score, you risk becoming miserable. Now, the oppressing burden of the twilight of the Third Age, as perceived by the PCs, is represented in the game by their shadow rating. You can keep track of your shadow rating from the resources tab on your character sheet. You gain shadow points in many ways during the adventuring, but when your shadow rating matches or exceeds your current hope score, you become miserable. And when you suffer the condition of being miserable, all of your success rolls suffer from the rule of 14. So a roll of 14 or more is an automatic failure. And if your shadow rating reaches your maximum hope score, which is your IQ score, your effective success roll is a flat 9 or worse. So in game terms, your character is overburdened by their fears. And the only way to remove the shadow is to endure a bout of madness. I realize I have these out of number, but anyway, that's okay. So I'm going to go back a second here. Oh, yes, okay. So if you suffer a bout of madness, you have to choose the appropriate manner in which to roleplay your character's descent into madness. There are 4 classic themes, and they can be betrayal, fear, lust, or rage. In the One Ring, the example they give of this is when Boromir kind of loses it after he tries to take the ring from Frodo, and he talks about a madness has come over him. But if none of those classic themes jive with you, you're welcome to find some other form of madness, maybe aggression of some type. Once the bout of madness passes, characters quickly regain control of themselves, and they see that their mind is cleared of the tangle of fear and doubt that they fell into before facing the crisis. All shadow points are removed, but the character advances down a shadow path. Now, every character has a particular shadow path based on their temperament or life's calling. Consider which path might best reflect your character's core temptation. Once chosen, it cannot change. So a dwarf might choose the shadow path of dragon sickness, or perhaps the curse of vengeance. Well, an elf might choose the path of despair or curse of vengeance. A hobbit might choose wandering madness or the lure of power. But each of these bouts will generate a new disadvantage, and if your character already has that disadvantage already, well, we'll look at considering increasing its value or severity, or perhaps consider a parallel disadvantage. But after you experience 4 bouts of madness, you're lost to the shadow forever. So the next time your shadow score reaches your hope rating, you're lost. And men and hobbits and dwarves will fall under the shadow and succumb to madness. And elves will seek to return to Valinor to be healed of their sadness and misery. Okay. Now, there is something called Hardened Will and Shadow Scar. So if you have gained a lot of shadow, you can tap into your innermost reserve.
Something happened with the comms. I got tap into the innermost reserve and nothing.
Yeah, same.
Likewise.
User in your channel timed out.
Oh,
Oh no. Here we go.
hey, it's not wrong this time.
User entered your channel.
Go?
No. Well, where did we all drop off?
I got tap into innermost reserves or something like that.
Yeah, you're
Yeah, you're
basically
on 4.
just starting to describe 4.
What happened there?
I have no idea. I got a note saying lost connection to cloud service.
Huh. Your connectivity may have been wobbly. That's weird.
Isn't that weird? Yeah, lost connection to cloud service. May not be able to join the game. Attempting to reconnect.
I'm still showing as in the game. Do I need to leave?
Yeah,
You're here as far as I can.
That's irritating. I got dropped completely.
Okay.
I'm still here. I'm still in.
Okay.
I managed to roll
It
some
hates
dice.
me the most.
And I saw Cassandra's roll, so
Yep. Still working.
I know it's been doing this message about lost connection to the cloud service. So I don't know whether it's me or whether would it be server side?
I have no idea.
Is there a moose?
I logged back in. I don't know if I should have or not.
Yeah, I just logged back in too.
Is a moose chewing on your internet?
That's it. Those damn moose, mice.
That's right. You guys don't have
Mooses,
penguins.
Mises.
Are we all back now?
Yep.
All right. So
Innermost reserves.
innermost reserve. Okay. So basically, if you don't want to succumb to madness, you can basically make a will roll and try to burn off all those points, but you end up getting one permanent point, a shadow scar, that can only be removed during that sort of 3-month recuperation period of time. And finally, sources of shadow and shadow tests. So a number of sources of shadow allow players to make a roll to cancel or at least reduce the amount of points gained. So sources of shadow include dread, greed, misdeed,
Misdeeds.
Theory goes again.
I
Yep.
bet so.
Are we like cursed now?
I'm wondering if it's a Fantasy Grounds server thing. Where it's not actually us.
you might
Maybe.
suffer getting.
Oh,
There he is.
Hello.
Yeah.
right.
Did it happen
No,
again?
boy, it happened again.
Yep.
I wonder if I should shut down and retry connecting.
I'm not
This
sure
is
if it's
funny.
Fantasy Grounds, though, because you're dropping off voice as well.
Interesting.
That's true.
I've cursed the group.
No, we
it's
had
not-
this
yeah.
last week with Ronky, where he was doing Star Trek, and he would start and then boop, just drop off because his computer blue screened.
And that happened like right after we fixed the long time problem with FX's FX's comms.
Yeah, we need to undo FX's comms so that we can return to normal.
Crazy. What do you think? Should I reboot?
Are you on like wireless or something like that?
No, I'm wired.
I don't know. Let it go. Let's see how it goes.
Okay. How annoying. Actually, this is just Soren at work.
You mean Sauron?
Yeah, Sauron. Clearly, Sauron does not want us to be playing this game.
I'm apparently still connected, so that's good.
Yay, I'm back. Until the GM's computer boots me again.
No idea why. I don't think I have it's got to be that internet connection. All right, Nikki's back in TeamSpeak.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm
carry on.
downloading.
Yes.
I'm getting back on the server.
All right, so basically, harden will, make a will roll, wipe out your points, except for one, which sticks around for the rest of the year. That's that. And then the various sources of shadow, dread, greed, misdeeds, sorcery. But basically, the game encourages you to play a more ethical or morally upright person, knowing that when you commit misdeeds or witness misdeeds, it could result in you getting shadow points. Shadow tests are rolls versus modified will at -1 for every 3 points of accumulated shadow, including any mods for advantages and disadvantages. And if you pass your test, you can reduce the number of shadow points gained in that incident by possibly 1 to 4.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's kind of the core or the One Ring's mechanic of shadow corruption. Let's talk about healing. So I'm going to take a lot of the rules for healing from Dungeon Fantasy Dungeons and Wilderness Adventures, because this is all listed in the manuals. And by the way, you can activate those manuals. I've turned them into modules. But basically, patching up, again, it's good old first aid, bandaging. But I do have a house rule here, which is to say that Hamlin, who is our healer, on the basis of the knowledge of his healing lore, can restore additional health points, as well as use his ability with Pharmacy Herbal to find King's Foil to assist in restoring additional health points as necessary. Otherwise, the rules are basically from Dungeon Fantasy. Other than that, that is all that I've kind of cobbled together to capture what I think is the essence of the One Ring role-playing game with the with the Dungeon Fantasy. Any questions? I know that was a lot of information and broken up.
Not yet.
Nope, I think I'm good.
All right. Well, let's jump right in, shall we? All right. So, not to be unimaginative or anything, but you're meeting at an inn. You're meeting at a very famous inn. So your character notes have described why you're all in Bree and why you're all sitting in the Prancing Pony. But before we begin with the meeting in the inn, I'm going to have, let's see, who would like to read this? I think Caledorn should read this.
Oh dear. Lonely men are we, rangers of the wild, hunters, but hunters ever of the servants of the enemy. Strider I am to one fat man who lives within a day's march of foes that would freeze his heart or lay his little town in ruin if he were not guarded ceaselessly. Yet we would not have it otherwise. If simple folk are free from care and fear, simple they will be, and we must be secret to keep them so. That has been the task of my kindred, while the years have lengthened and the grass has grown. Aragorn to Boromir, the Council of Elrond.
Thank you. So you're in the inn, and I think now will be the time for each of you to explain to our listeners a little bit about why you find yourself with the Prancing Pony. And if some of you have some connection, you might be sitting together, but I'll let you describe that. Why don't we have Cassandra go first?
Right. So sitting at the table, chin barely over the edge, over the tabletop, is a hobbit. To some, she might look like a child, but she is actually an adult hobbit. She is kind of a little bit of an oddity for a hobbit because most hobbits are soft and round, enjoying the lazy life full of food, but she's actually somewhat muscular, giving the impression that she's a little bit of a traveler. She is, I'll go ahead and assume she is sitting with a dwarf who happens to be someone she has run into and befriended throughout her various travels. She carries herself in a way that this is a lifestyle that she has embraced, and she's picked up survival skills and fighting skills and that wariness that comes with, kind of one eye on the door. And she is there enjoying a meal and a night in the inn, looking for her next job.
Well, thank you. And I've put a picture of young Cassandra for everyone.
Startlingly blue eyes.
Startlingly blue eyes. All right. Well, then we turn to Hori, who's sitting beside her.
I want to hear Mickey's mangled Scottish accent.
That's not going to happen.
Have to make
Alright.
him sound like Emily.
Hori. He was born in 2930 in the Blue Mountains. He is 62 years of age. He is one of Durin's folk, and he has spent most his life in Western Eredor, assisting various dwarven emissaries, interacting with the elves of Linden. On occasion, he has visited the Shire and into Breeland. Hori is in the Prancing Pony in Bree, where he desperately wants to get a room, wash the dirt from the road and his body and clothing, and put his feet up in the tavern and get a drink and something to eat. He is familiar with Cassandra Took, and on friendly terms with her.
Excellent. Thank you. So then we'll turn to Caledon.
Hi, I'm Rigel. I am playing Caledorn, son of Halabeth, a Dunedain Ranger of the North. So he is tall, dark of hair, with gray eyes. He is still quite young, barely 64 years of age, and has been protecting Breeland in the Shire for much of his life. He is currently in the Prancing Pony for resupply, a drink, and perhaps a bit of pipeweed.
Ah, that's pipeweed. Well, which brings us to
Pernicious stuff.
Hamlin Hubertus.
Sorry, it took me a second. So I'm originally a resident of Bree, and I've come home to find work. I've spent my last coin here at the Prancing Pony for a drink. I am a scholar and a musician, and I have skills at healing. And I've learned these skills around different places around Middle Earth, like Minas Tirith and Rivendell. And I'm a human.
There we go. Thank you so much. Okay, so that's character introductions. So, the fire is warm, the beer frothy, and the worthies of Bree have gathered in the common room of the pony to sing songs and make merry. And this night there are 2 or 3 groups of strangers as well as the locals. As you look around the room, you see, of course, each other, but you also see a pair of dwarves, a trio of strangers who you presume are from over the mountains, and, of course, your wonderful selves. So, go ahead and tell me, what is it you do as you sit there in the pub?
That was not directed to anyone?
No.
Right. Well, Caledorn is going to relax and enjoy a couple of pints. Maybe get involved in some carousing if possible, although considering he's considered a ranger of the north, they may look at him askance.
True that. How about Cassandra? What's she doing?
She's going to enjoy her meal and her drink with Hori and basically reminisce from the last time they worked together. Probably tell a crazy story about something wacky that happened while they were on the road. And probably embellish it a little bit just for the enjoyment of those around.
Excellent. Hori, what are you doing in response to all that?
Hori, he will be enjoying his meal. He will heartily devour this stew or whatever it is, and he will be signaling for another round to be bought of seconds, because he hasn't had a good meal in a long time. As Cassandra tells her stories, Hori will know that she's embellishing a little bit, and he will embellish a little bit more on top of that, saying, don't be so modest. It was much bigger than that.
Excellent.
And she's getting a little at this point. She's like, but I'm a hobbit. Everything looks big to me.
Yes. Hamlet, how about you? What are you up to?
I call over one of the bar maidens and ask if I could please speak to the proprietor of this fine place.
And the bar maiden, she says, "Oh, very well. I'll see if I can grab his attention. He's a rather busy fellow."
Sure, I don't mind waiting. Thank you.
That does bring up a question for the GM: is what is the time period?
Good question. So,
Of course it is.
We are after the period of basically the Hobbit, and the Smaug's been defeated. Bilbo has returned to the Shire with his wagon loads of loot. So I forget how many years we're past that, but that's all happened, and maybe not too far in the past. Are you looking like for a specific year?
That might be helpful, because I know from Caldorn's backstory that Aragorn is alive and is considered the chieftain of the Northern Dunedain at this point. So I know he's at least in his 20s, and he is 80 something in Lord of the Rings.
Right. So the year is. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if Hori is 62 and he was born in 2903, then it would be 2965.
Yeah, I was just going to say the setting is the year 965.
Which means I got to remind myself what year. I think it was 3025, something like that, for the Lord of the Rings.
See if I can find a little. Wouldn't it be nice to find a timeline just off the top of my head?
Well, yeah, probably the OneRing.net.
Here we go. Timeline.
I think it's 3024.
So let's see here. Sauron, is defeated in the War of the Ring, and that happens in 3018. Ends in 3019.
Wonder why I'm thinking 3024. 3018. Okay.
Yeah, so I did find a timeline here, and I'm going to scroll down to, what did we say it was, 2965?
So 53 years from the events of the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
Which is
so
which is about right if you consider Bilbo's age in Lord of the Rings.
So, yeah. So, for instance, 2 years from now, Frodo will be born.
Wow.
And
Aragorn is really young. He's only 34 right now.
Aragorn meets Gandalf in 2956. So just over 10 years ago? No. Yeah, 9 years ago, something like that. 11 years ago, sorry.
Let's mess with the timeline.
And let's see here. What might else be? Yeah, so Oro Druin reawakens in 2954.
That would be Mount Doom, right?
Yeah. Sauron sends through Nazgûl to occupy Dol Guldur in 2951. Dale is rebuilt in 2954. So about 20 years ago. Yeah, that's kind of where the game world sits. So Caladorn is going to take interest in the stories of the Dwarf and the Hobbit and pays closer attention, enjoying their nonsense.
Yep.
Are you going to try and do that stealthily or make it obvious?
He's not going to be hiding the fact he's listening.
Okay.
I mean, I considered to rip off Aragorn and, sitting in the shadows with the hood up and smoking, but that would be too much of a rip off from the future.
All right. Well, Cassandra and Hori, I mean, if you want to try to notice, I'd say do a vision roll, maybe at like -2 because you're both tipsy and preoccupied with eating and listening.
-2?
Yeah.
-2.
Not happening.
Cassandra's has got the roll. She succeeded by 1.
So is Cassandra always out of the Shire, or is she sometimes back there?
Well, you'd have to ask her. Wink, wink.
No, I'm asking the pair to see if she would potentially recognize Caladorn, since he's apparently occasionally traveled and engaged with the hobbits.
Well, this sounds like our very first let the universe decide.
Okay. So
Cassandra, how about you roll that one?
so just a reaction roll.
Sure.
Good.
You do recognize Caladorn. How might she recognize you, Caladorn? How might you recognize him, Cassandra?
Let's see, Caladorn, since he is tasked along with other Rangers of the North with protecting the area, does a bit of traveling. He talks to them. He really likes the Hobbit kids. They're very, very amusing, and he is quite frequently returning lost cattle, dogs, cats, and yes, even wayward children.
Cassandra, what do you think of that?
Oh, how old is Cassandra?
She's 28.
Was she one of those wayward children that I may have returned at some point?
How old is he? How old is he?
He is 64.
Very well might have been. So she, after hearing tales from a certain Baggins who returned with a pile of treasures, She got a little bit of an interest in adventuring, so she probably slipped out more than once, and he had to go drag her back from whatever hole she had fallen in.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
I
So,
remember you. You were the one that was chasing the bear.
And she'll kind of squint and say, "Oh, yeah, I remember you. Thanks for helping me out with that."
I see things haven't changed very much.
are you going to get up and join her and the dwarf?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, she'll wave him over, and
And, introduce himself to Hori. Green's Master Dwarf. I'm Caldorn, son of Halibeth.
Here, have a seat. And Hori will shuffle aside, move his plates and mugs.
did Hori leave anything on his plates, or did he clean them?
His first plate he would have licked clean.
Cassandra looked bad.
And
She'll kind of eyeball the plate and frown.
there will be like gravy and stuff, through his beard.
So, wildly, completely unrelated, I'm looking at the notes in the GCA file, and this totally dates you more than anything else. Nosh, is you're using the double space after a period.
Old habits die hard.
I know. I had to retrain myself not to do that.
That and the Oxford comma. Is that what they call it? The Oxford comma?
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
All right, so you guys are now a trio at the table. And Butterbur, that's his name, not Butterball, Butterbur, he starts to come over to
Young and skinny.
where Hamlin is. Yeah, perhaps he is a little slimmer. But he'll start making his way over to Hamlin's table, rubbing his hands with his dishcloth. When the door to the pony bursts inward, and a dwarf comes through the door in a big flurry. I'll see if I can get a picture of this person for you. Hang on. This individual bursts through the door, flings it open wide, stands there with a big grin, and says, "I need a drink. Give me a drink." And he looks over at Butterbur, and Butterbur stops and visibly rolls his eyes and then says, "Well, very well, then would you please shut my door, Mr. Dwarf, and have a seat? Thank you." And then he turns around and never makes it to Hamlin's table. And the dwarf comes in and sort of scans the room, looks at the trio that appear from on the other side of the mountain, and gives them kind of a look. He sees the dwarves sitting in the corner and doesn't give them much of a look whatsoever. And then he looks at the player characters and decides to go and sit down at a table near to Calidor and Cassandra and Hori. "A drink. Get me that drink, Mr. Butterbur. I'm a very thirsty fellow." And he kind of turns his back to the other dwarves in the inn, And everybody goes back to their conversation.
Cassandra will lean over towards Hori and say, "Hey, you know him?" And nod towards Dwarf that just came in.
Hori will say, "That looks like my mother." He will
Cassandra will
he
just
will
kind of
say
tilt her
it
head to the
possibly
side.
loud enough for the dwarf to hear.
I'm absolutely gonna choke my pipe as he says that, because that's funny.
So Butterbur brings over a drink, and the dwarf grabs it and sloshes it back and wipes his beard and casts a glance over at Hori and says, "And you remind me of my father. Or is it my brother?" And now we'll turn back to Hamlin. What are you doing, Hamlin? And Mr. Butterbur stops, taps his forehead, and goes, "Ah, yes," and comes over to you and says, "Yes, Hamlin, good to see you back in the pony. Where have you come from?"
Out and about, my friend. I was curious if I might be able to work for a meal for you. Maybe sing a song, play my lute for a meal.
"Oh, hard times, is it, Mr. Hubertus?"
Not hard times, just in between jobs.
"Ah, yes. Well, there are many in the room who are like that. Um, I tell you what, I will give it some thought. I won't be but a tick. I just need to go and refill a few glasses." And off he bustles away. And the dwarf looks over at you, Hamlin, gets up, grabs his drink, and sits down beside you and looks you in the eye and says, "So, I didn't mean to overhear, but I overheard I did. Are you looking for work?"
I suppose I am. How about you buy me a nice meal and we can talk about it?
"Oh, very well. I think I can help you with that." He reaches down and grabs his pouch and jingles it, and you hear coins jingling away. "Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Jari."
Hello, Jari. I am
"And
Hamlin.
who?" "Your name is Hamlin, is it?
Yes, it is, Jari.
Well, good to meet you." He extends a hand and shakes your hand. And he says, "Well, I have some work, but I need a few more brave souls if they'd be interested to earn their fair share of a great treasure." And as he says that, he kind of bellows that out.
You definitely have my attention, sir.
Well, that is good. Very good.
Cassandra perks up when he starts bellowing about treasure and a job.
Oh, our first failed disadvantage, greed. Failed by 2 by the dwarf Hori.
If there was one thing that was going to interrupt Hori's meal, it would be the mention of treasure.
And as if by sense, Jari, of course, looked right at you when he dropped the word treasure.
Hori will excuse himself from the table. He'll pick up his plate and ale and relocate him himself to the other table. He'll just place his plate down, take a seat. He said, "You said treasure."
I did say treasure. My son, and he laughs, slaps you on the back.
Then Hori will say, "Well, you do look like my mother."
A good jest. I enjoy a good joke.
Well, what treasure would you be talking about?
Oh, and at this point, he leans in and lowers his voice a little bit. Well, I would be talking about a great treasure buried by one of my distant uncles, Great Uncle Bori. He buried it a long, long time ago to hide it from bandits. And I know where it is.
At this point, Hori will sort of start waving Cassandra over.
Sandra will grab her drink and her own plate and elbow towards Caladorn and say, "Come on, let's go find out what this guy wants." And she'll hop over to the table.
Ah, good. Jaria. More interested souls.
As soon as
Retrieving
Cassandra arrives at the table, Hori will rather excitedly say, "Buried treasure!"
Jari says, you two know each other.
Aye.
Good. Have you met, what was the name again? Mr. And he's pointing at you, Hamlin.
Hamlin Hubertus is my name.
Do you know Mr. Hubertus?
I do not. I am Hori, son of Nori.
And Cassandra will pipe in and say, "And I'm Cassandra Took, daughter of Took."
Nice to meet you.
Caladorn, are you staying at the other table or are you joining?
I think he'll probably meander over there. He's moderately curious and, in between assignments, so to speak.
So Jari says, as everyone knows here in Bree, I'm a noted explorer and treasure finder. Dwarves, and he points at Hori, have a nose for gold, don't we, Hori?
Aye, we do.
Well, the treasure cache is hidden in a valley to the north of Bree, the Morgland Valley. Said to be the haunt of wolves and worse things. I am not a fighter, of course, so I need some doughty sword-wielding types to help me as I search the valley. But if we should find the treasure, and I dare say we will, I am happy to share some of that if it's found. Caladorn.
Yes, I'm just trying to see if I'm familiar enough with the area that he is addressing or referring to.
You have heard of that area. Indeed, it is to the north and more accurately to the northeast of Bree in the Weather Hills. And you know that indeed the Weather Hills have a long history of being a border region. Towers were built, watchtowers were built in old times. Yeah, it's an area where it's not inconceivable that somebody might have buried a treasure at some time.
So it's close to the Tower of Amansul.
It would be north of that, if your reckoning is correct.
I am familiar with this region.
Ah, good, ah, good. Can I take it by your dress that you are a ranger?
Your guess would be correct, sir. I am Adorn, son of Halibeth.
Ah, good and well met, Caledorn. We could use a man who knows his way around the area. Um, and then you hear a voice from behind you, Caledorn, saying, I too can vouch for what the dwarf is saying.
It's a troll, isn't it? I guess it isn't a troll.
And so Jari says, oh, Diarmok, thank you for coming over. Friends, this is my companion, Diarmok. Yeah, I can vouch for what the dwarf is saying. I've heard tell of the dwarf's uncle and his fabled treasure.
Well,
Well, hopefully it's not just tales.
Oh, I don't think it's tales whatsoever. I'm pretty sure this fabled treasure does exist.
tell us about treasure. I'm more interested in the story than the actual treasure, but
Yeah. Well, let me find that bit of information for you. Yeah, what can I tell you? My great uncle Bori, he was a noteworthy treasure finder himself, with that same nose for gold as I have. But he was always unjustly mistreated by the jealous dwarves of the Iron Hills. Uh, and why my uncle, he entered into many a lost dwarven city in the Grey Mountains. And who knows what fabulous gems and jewels he found there. But the dwarf lords of the Iron Hills, they threatened to take my uncle's hard-earned gold with fines and taxes. And rather than yield up his treasure to them, my great uncle Bori, he buried it.
Well,
And so, are you all in agreement to help me find my great uncle's treasure?
I'm certainly willing to aid.
Yeah, I'm in. When do we start?
Oh, well, I would be happy to have you start tomorrow morning.
I definitely would like to help, but I'm awful hungry.
Oh, well then, let's make sure that you are well fed tonight. Butterbur! And he calls Butterbur over. Get this man some stew and another tankard of ale. Yes, yes, of course, Jari. I propose we leave tomorrow morning. It's about a week's travel at most. And here to help you get what you need. And he digs into his pocket and he pulls out 3 gold pieces. Who can I trust with these 3 gold pieces?
Oh, Cassandra's hand shoots up.
He stares you in the eye. Well, I'll trust my kid. And he hands the gold pieces to Hori.
Hori will gleefully take the coins.
I will meet you outside Bree in the morning. I've got some ponies tied up in the woods outside of town. Come on over after you've got your gear, and we'll put them on the ponies, and we'll make an easy walk. How's that?
Well, before you go, let's be clear. You know where the treasure is buried, right? We're not going to be digging holes in the whole mountainside looking for treasure that's possibly buried there.
I wish I could give you a great assurance I know precisely where it is. Alas, I don't.
Well then, how do you expect to find this treasure?
There, in a map that my great uncle left behind, he buried it under one of the watchtowers there. And there's a particular...
Hori will sort of hold his hand up and cut him off, looking around to see who might be listening. That's enough. I'm convinced.
Okay. Very well. All right.
So Cassandra will kind of glance at the food that gets put in front of Hamlin and look back at Jari and Diarmok and say, you think you could get me some of that?
Oh, of course, Mistress Hobbit. Not a problem.
I am a growing hobbit after all.
He leaves a handful of silver pennies on the tabletop and says, why don't you treat yourselves? Come along now, Darmok. Let's go and get those ponies ready for tomorrow's trip.
Cassandra will snag the money as soon as it hits the table. And she'll hop up and say, I'll go get around to ale. And she'll hop over to Butterbur.
Okay, so you're off getting some ale. What's the rest of you doing?
Well, Hori will be introducing himself to the two strangers at the table. And he'll say, so tell me about yourselves. Was it Caladorn and Hamlet?
Indeed.
What brings you here?
What-
I'm from the
Here.
area.
I thought you looked vaguely familiar. I am merely here for a resupply. Well, resupply and ale and this lovely weed.
What about yourself, Hamlin? You're sitting there quite mysterious. What's your story?
I decided to come back home, look for work. Looks like I've been successful.
And you, Master Dwarf, what brings you to Bree?
Well, I am here for work. I travel through here on occasion, and I find myself in a position to earn a little coin. My trade is how shall I say it? Violence.
Ooh.
But I'm a
Well,
good
that
sort.
confirms Caladorn's immediate presumption. I mean, Hori's a ginger, so he presumed he had no soul, and now that confirms it.
Yeah, so Cassandra comes back with her pint and starts to enjoy her food, I take it.
Oh yeah. Oh, she'll actually come back first with 3 mugs of ale. They all are about as each one of them is about as big as her head, and she'll set them out on the table and then scamper back to go get the food, and then come back.
Excellent. So, what would you like to do for the rest of the evening, and or do you just want to call it a night?
Probably want to get an idea of everybody's general skill sets since we are going into the wild. Caladorn will acknowledge that he is something of an archer and a tracker and a woodsman, so with an expertise for returning errant hobbit children back to their homes.
Anybody else want to pipe in?
So in between mouthfuls of whatever she's eating, she'll basically run down what she does, which is she will go help people retrieve items that were stolen from them, usually the dwarves. She's she's really good with a bow and really good about being able to get out of a tight spot. Yeah, that's pretty much what she'll do for her rundown.
I explained that I am skilled in healing, and that I can sing and tell tales and play a lute.
Hori will sort of look over to him and say, "Then why aren't you singing now? Let's lift the spirits in this place. It's quite dull at the moment."
He can't sing and eat at the same time, Master Dwarf.
Ah. Well, eat fast.
I'm just imagining as he's saying this, there's actual particles of food flying out of his mouth.
Absolutely. And achoo! 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 I myself
smile as I'm eating my stew.
I myself, as I said, am an artisan of violence. The bow and axe are my instruments of choice.
So then, we have a scout, a healer, an armsman, and, by the sounds of it, a burglar following into the footsteps of Master Baggins. Good start.
Well, the night is
Yeah.
young. The night is young, and there are patrons to interact with, and yes, possibly some songs to sing.
Not dark and full of terrors?
Not dark and full of terrors, no. Warm and relaxing, and as As Hamlin finishes his meal, of course, now people start to call out for a song, Hamlin, a song. They start to recognize he's back in town.
Of course, that's the least I could do. With Mr. It's not Butterball, but Mr. Butterball's permission, I'd be happy to sing a song and play my lute.
Oh, yes, please do, Mr. Hubertus. We'd love to enjoy your music tonight. Perhaps someone might want to even dance while you sing or play. All right. So, what do you sing about, Hamlin?
Sing about the cold and damp, misty mountains. I'm assuming I know about them.
Yes, you do.
And the dark denizens that have been rumored to be lurking there.
All right. So a dark song, a somber song.
Hori will go,
I try to make it a little bit happy in that I talk about how the owner of the proprietor of this facility has gone to the mountains and conquered the enemy there.
All right. Well, people do listen, leaning in, and after you're done, there's some clapping all around. And what are the rest of you doing? Are you just listening to him sing, or are you wanting to mix it up a bit with the clientele?
Hori is a little bit disappointed at the kind of grim tone of the song. As soon as he finishes, he'll go, now something upbeat, something we can dance to.
Well, that's why I play my lute is after I sing, a little more upbeat.
Damn, by 7, that's a good roll.
Yeah. So Hamlin rolled his musical instrument lute for the sad song. He rolled a 13 and succeeded by 0. But this one, he succeeded by 7. So you start playing this rousing jig of a tune. Is Hori going to get up and start dancing?
Hori will, but he can't dance and has no rhythm. So he will make a fool of himself, but he will enjoy it.
Excellent.
Because he's also kind of drunk.
Right.
Dwarves don't get
Cassandra and Calidorn, what are you two doing in the midst of all this merrymaking?
Calidorn is probably going to withdraw and interact with some of the other locals to catch up on various rumors, since part of his job is to protect Breland in the Shire. Like, has anybody heard of odd happenings of late, etc., etc.? Interestingly enough, he does not seem to have the kind of skills one would need to gain those rumors, though. So the best I could probably do is, carousing.
Well, very well. How about if you carouse? Yeah.
I shall attempt to do so and succeed by 3.
All right. So we need a 12, succeeds by 3. Okay. Well, as you're going about chatting with people, you hear a number of them say, "Oh, so you're jaunting off with Jari on one of his treasure hunts, are you?"
So it would seem. Aye.
Yeah. And just in conversation with various people, few people have a bad word to say about him in general, but a few have said that he's failed to pay for his drinks a few times, and while no one can prove that he's robbed anyone, there are whispers of valuables going missing after Jari has passed through town.
Well, I will keep my hand on my purse.
So that's kind of what.
Thank you, good friend.
Yeah, that's kind of what you pick up as you talk to various people. All right. How about Cassandra? What is she doing?
So while Hori is
Do you remember what you
distracting
said about
everybody,
things getting are disappearing?
while she's not gonna try to pick any pockets, but what she is gonna do is fail gluttony, and she's gonna start snagging untouched food off of the tables around and storing it, like packing it away in her pouch for the upcoming journey. So bread, cheese, the kind of stuff that will travel well.
Excellent. Okay. So I'm not even going to ask for a stealth roll on any of this because everyone's so busy and you're so small. This little hand goes darting out from table to table, from behind elbows and from between arms, and you just see this hand deftly picking up at a block of cheese here and a apple here and so on and so forth, and then you see the hand grab something, and you hear kind of like a ew, and it's put back in the plate. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, that'll be accurate. And she'll at some point she'll give Hori a really big grin and a thumbs up, like it was totally planned. He's a distraction and she steals stuff.
Right.
Rory will just laugh and continue to dance loudly.
I have this mental image now of Hori dancing with one of the bar wenches, and she's like half his size taller, but they're spinning around like crazy people.
All right. So let's see. Now, this I know the answer to this question, obviously, but would Hamlin be curious to think on and ponder what he knows about the history of Arthedain and the Dunedain, basically the Dunedain lore, because they mentioned the Weather Hills and if you wanted to use that skill.
Okay, hang on one second. Arcane lore, you said?
Hidden lore, specifically Dunedain.
Well, it's not hidden from me.
Thank you for the suggestion.
You're most welcome.
Success by 3.
So you needed a 15 and you made it by 3. Give me 1 second. It's up to you if you want to share this with everybody. You might want to share it, say, tomorrow, or everyone seems to be partying down right now, but I'm just going to drop something that only you can see. Hang on a second. There, I think I shared that with you.
You did. It's nice when the program actually works.
Exactly. And any other carousing that's going to go on? I don't know if Cassandra's got carousing or not, or Hori.
She does. Do you want me to make a roll?
Well, only if you want to. I just, there's, again, lots of patrons around.
Yeah, she might actually, after she's done filching food, she might actually, with whatever little money's left, try her hand at, see if anybody's up for some gambling.
All right.
I explained it. I'm too poor for that this evening. I'm probably going to rest. In the morning, we need to speak.
All right, so Hamlin, you're going to excuse yourself and find your room?
Yes.
All right.
Well, Hori will be disappointed that the DJ has gone. And he'll sit back down at the table, puffing a little bit.
Yeah, you want to make a perception roll for me? You can do it openly. Never mind.
Failed by 2.
So your perception was 11. You failed by. Okay. All right. Well, anything else going on? Cassandra, were you going to try something? I'm sorry, I missed that.
She was going to see if anybody was ever up for a little gambling.
Right. Okay. Oh, my. Do you have carousing?
She does, and she has gambling.
All right. Well, let's start with a carousing roll first. How's that? No.
Success 5.
That's about 5. Okay. So you actually do find somebody who is interested in doing some gambling, and that would be the 3 people from over the mountain, the 3 human beings, the 3 humans, the 3 men from over the mountain that were sitting by themselves, and sure enough, they're interested in having a bit of a gambling go.
Yeah, and she'll chat him up while we're getting set up. Where are you from? What you doing here? That kind of thing.
For sure. So what they explain is that if I can find this information, hang on a second. Yeah, so they introduce themselves. They are Arna, Harald, and Leif, and they're merchants from distant Lake Town. And they've come west in search of some new trading opportunities. They're bringing in some wine from Gowinian and some clever trinkets from Dale. Ultimately, they're bound for the Blue Mountains, and as you've learned, they don't know much about the geography of the lands west of the High Pass, and so they're eager to talk with any locals who might know more about Eriador.
And she'll be like, "Well, you're talking to the right person, because I've been all over these parts."
Interesting. Well, tell us more, and you roll into having a good conversation about, I take it, the Shire.
Mm-hmm. And I'm assuming they're wanting to take the east-west road, which she is familiar with the geography of all that.
You got it. You know, of course, that Hori is from the Blue Mountains.
Oh yeah. So she'll start waving at Hori and say, Hori, come and tell these folks about the Blue Mountains, where you're from."
Who are these 3?
She'll introduce him. "This is my friend Hori. He's from there."
Oh, and their
Hori,
eyes,
son of Nori.
eyes light up. Oh, well met, Dwarf. So good to meet you. I'm Arna, this is Harald, and this is Leif. We're actually trying to get to the Blue Mountains to do a little bit of trading. Tell us more about your home.
Hori will start rattling off all the best features of his home, of the Blue Mountains, and he will sell it as best he can.
Ooh, okay.
Even if some details might not be true.
Well, they're not gullible, but everyone's had some drink, and they're lapping it all up. And in turn, they tell you that recent news from the Wilderland. They explain that there is a strong king in Dale now, Bard the Bowman, probably who you've heard some amazing stories about. And the good years are passing, but then they talk about rumors of evil in Mirkwood again.
Ooh.
Absolutely will
evil.
attract Aladorn's attention, and he will start paying attention.
And so, yeah, they'll just kind of go into. I don't have a lot of detail here, but they are going to simply tell you a little bit about what's going on the other side of Mirkwood, but that they've heard rumors that evil is in Mirkwood again after many years of peace.
And upon hearing that they don't have any specifics, Caladorn will be mildly disappointed because he already knows all this.
Gambling. So anyway, they will do a little bit of gambling with you. We're going to use the Fantasy Dungeons rules for gambling. Basically, if the PC knows gambling, she can bet any amount, roll a quick contest versus a generic skill of 12 for sums of up to $25. Higher stakes attract sharks. +1 to opposing skill for doubling. So 13 of up to $50, 14 of up to 100, and so on. But if she wins, she doubles her money. If she ties, she breaks even, and if she loses, she forfeits her stake. Success at sleight of hand allows cheating for +3, but any failure means the crook loses her bet and is beaten.
Oh my.
How far do we really want to take this?
All right. So how much does she have left from the coins that the guy tossed on the table?
Oh, let's see here now. How about you roll, what is this? For sums up to $25. I will roll another universe roll, and let's see if you have on a poor roll, you've got $25 left. On a good roll, you've got, say a neutral or worse, you've got 25. But on good or better, you'd say you've got, let's say you've got $50.
Neutral.
All right. So you at least have $25 to put a stake on.
All right. So is it starting at 25 or is it start lower?
So it sums up to 25. So let's say no, they're just going to put in $25 as well. So we'll say that there's the three of them at the table are each going to put in $25. So we're talking about $100 on the table now.
Okay.
So we're going to do a quick contest of your gambling skill versus generic skill of 12.
All right. Which is her skill. So yeehaw.
I'll roll
Okay.
once for each of them. And let's see who wins. We'll start with, just going to roll 3d6 in the box, not attached to any skill per se. Here's the first person. This guy doesn't know how to gamble.
Oh, no.
He rolled a 17, folks. In fact, he may have broken his hand trying to play his cards. I don't know. Here's the next roll.
Playing his cards with the face outwards.
Exactly. All right, so he made his by 5. Ooh. And here's the third person.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, and one person rolled an 11. They needed a 12, so they made it by 1. So it looks like you need to beat a 7. No.
Nope.
No.
Can you
lost?
Can you use some of your hope?
I'm not using my
use
hope
it
mat.
after the fact?
Yeah, you guess you could use it after the fact because again, you can turn a critical failure into a critical success. So would you like to re-roll that using hope, or do you want to save your hope for later?
I think I'm gonna save the hope for later because
Alright.
my dice like to cause me problems.
Right. Okay. Well,
Womp womp.
it's fine. You'll lose your $25, and we'll say it's Leaf who. No, it'll be Harold who did so well, and he takes the coins in and says, thank you, good hobbit, for your company and for your poor skill, but most of all for your company. It's been very pleasurable. And at that, they're going to get up and head to their room. Hori, what are you doing now, buddy?
Well, if the dancing is, or the dancing is done, he'll just sit down at the table. He'll drink until he feels tired, and then tell Cassandra that it's time for me to hit the sack.
All right. So as you're kind of yawning and going about this time to hit the sack, the dwarves that were in the pub throughout the evening, one of them comes over
And
and
knife you in the back.
he comes over and he puts his hand on your shoulder and he looks at you and he says, Floki is my name.
Hori.
Good to meet you, Hori. He says, my friend and I, we noticed your interactions with Jari earlier. I would take a close look at that gold he gave you. And he slaps you on the shoulder a couple of times really hard and says, best of luck to you, friend. And then he nods at Hornborian. The two of them leave and head off to their
As he turns to start to walk, Hori will sort of grab him. My friend, you don't get to come over here and just say that and walk away. Explain yourself.
Okay, well, Floki looks around, tells Hornbori to go on his way. And he sits down and he says, he looks at you very, very seriously. And he says, you take a good look at that gold coin. I don't need to look at it, but you take a good look at it. Jari's known to us. He was exiled from the Iron Hills for theft and fraud. I wouldn't trust the wretch.
Hori will pull out the gold, take a look at it, and sort of scratch it.
Well, you look at it and
Feel the weight
it does not look like the coin was minted in the Breeland or in the Blue Mountains. It looks like it was minted. Let's see here. Do you have area knowledge or any knowledge of an area outside of Eriador?
Blue Mountains, Bree, and the Shire.
Yeah.
What's the area knowledge?
Yeah, you don't really identify where this coin is. Maybe somebody else might be able to identify it. It just doesn't look like a coin that you recognize that's in circulation in Eriador.
Does it have the weight of gold?
Oh yeah, it's definitely gold.
I'm not sure of how the currency works, but is currency based off its value in weight, or does the face value actually exceed that of its metal value?
I would say it's probably face value. Of course, Dungeon Fantasy doesn't go into that down that hole too much.
Well, Hori will say, looks like gold to me, but I have not seen this coin anywhere, but it still has value.
Well, of course it does. It's gold. Look. And he looks around again just to make sure that they're not being overheard. Look. He was accused of tomb robbing and dealing in relics from lost Moria. That's a crime in the eyes of the long-beard dwarves. In fact, my brother, my own brother, Flonar, he associated with Jari and it tarnished his good name. Anyway, Jari brings ill luck to those who travel with him. That's all I'll say. And I bid you good night, friend.
Well, thanks for the warning. Good night.
All right. So, anything else that you want to do before calling it a night, everyone?
Well, on that information, Hori will sort of take Cassandra aside or find an opportunity where she's on her own. And he says, we might have got ourselves caught up with some of the wrong folk. I just heard a story that this Jari is not really a fellow of good standing.
Is that so? What'd he do?
And then she passes out.
Hori will rattle off what he was told. The gold that he's given us is real, and I'll use it to get us our supplies for the trip. But I think if we go along, we should be wary of this fella. I don't want my reputation tarnished. I'm a good fella.
She'll pat him on the shoulder and say, yes, I know you're a really good fella, Hori.
Wow.
He'll just grin.
Patronization there.
Do you show her the coin?
Yes.
All right. Do you have area knowledge of places outside of Eriador?
She has area knowledge Minas Tirith. But that is it.
Okay. All right. Does geography, does it default to anything? Ooh, it's IQ -6. You know what? Make a roll against geography on the north-south road.
That's a failure, right?
Yeah, that's enough. Perhaps it's the fogginess of your brain right now, and you've had a lot to drink.
Yeah, she
Hori
looks at
will,
Hori and she's like, maybe we should ask Ranger Boy over there. He might
He's
know who
already
travels.
probably retired. And yeah, and I'm like, man, Jim shafted me with area knowledges. I apparently don't travel that much.
No, you
Hori
don't.
will say, well, if anyone is to know where this coin comes from, it will be, what was the barkeep's name?
Butterbur.
It will be that Butterbur fella. Hori will impulsively get up, walk over to the Butterbur, hold out the coin and say, do you recognize where this coin comes from?
I believe it came from your pit, good dwarf. Another round of stew?
My what?
I said, I know where that coin came from. It came from your pocket, good dwarf. Do you want another round of stew?
I didn't mean that. I mean where it was minted.
Oh, excuse me. Oh, well, let's have a look at it then. Ah, yes, yeah. Uh-huh. It's not from around here. No.
I know that.
Yeah, well, I would say that this is minted in Rohan, if I know my coins. Strange that. What do you make of it?
Home of the Horse Lords. Best territory in Middle-earth.
Oh, I don't make anything of it. I was just curious where this was from. I got it from that
No.
Jari fella.
Oh, Jari, yeah. Well, the way he carries on here, there, and everywhere, and who he carries on with, and that's his business, not mine, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's got coins from all over the realm and beyond. And how he gets them, and he looks askance and aside, and how he gets it, I don't really care, as long as he pays for his meals. Anyway, I bid you a good night. I'm going to shut things down now.
Hori will head off back to Cassandra and say, it's from Rohan, according to Bunnaberg.
So hearing that, she confirm that.
Yeah, you can look at that coin again, maybe in the morning when your head isn't so fuzzy.
She just will, just kind of lean on Hori and be like, my head feels a little fuzzy.
Let's get you to bed.
All right. So you pass the evening uneventfully and wake up in the morning with some headaches among some of you and a deadly, deadly thirst for water amongst all of you. Well, maybe not half.
As a light sleeper, I think Aldorn's probably up kind of early.
All right. So Jari said he'd meet you outside of Bree, but now's your opportunity to decide what you might want to take for gear. You've got, I put it in the party sheet, you've got 3 gold pieces, and the gold pieces are worth, what did I put it as? 80, yes. So they're, you've got a goodly amount of money right there.
Need to pick up a bunch of rations.
Yeah, we'll get supplies for the trip. I guess we'll get... what inventory do we have?
So how much did Cassandra snag from the tables?
You snagged...
None, she's already ate it.
She was very drunk, so she may have not. She may have.
It's like one of those where it's like you go, I know I got some stuff, and then you have flashes of you like snacking while you're walking and sleeping.
Yeah, she got the 2 a.m. munchies and it's all gone.
You do have a certain disadvantage. You might want to roll against that to see if you actually did have the munchies.
Yeah, let me do that's gluttony, right?
Yeah.
Oh, success by 1. Yay!
Okay. Now, I have actually pre-populated your sheet for your disads. I pre-populated it under the other tab in your abilities. If you want to roll it from there, your choice. All right. So, do you guys have access to the items list?
I do,
Camping,
yeah.
all that stuff. Okay. So, he said it might be about a week's journey, but if they have ponies and such, Caladorn, can you simply make a survival roll? And all right, well,
Success by 5.
that's woodlands. You're not really going through woods, but mostly plain or rolling hills to get over to the weather hills. Regardless, you made it
Well, I
by
know what I'm going to be spending points on next week for next week.
but you did so well by making it by 5. You would have equally made that well by, I think, a default to any other survival roll. So we're going to say that that with ponies and not having to haul your stuff around, you know that where did I put that? You know that it's about 80 miles to the area that Jari thinks this treasure is buried at. And you know that it's probably going to take you about maybe 5 days if there's no impediments to your travel.
5 days.
Jari thinks it's like 7. You're kind of going, nah, I think it's more like 5-ish, maybe 4.5 if we're making good time.
Right. So I will probably still recommend that if possible we have like 2 weeks of rations per person, and then look at Cassandra and go 3 weeks for her.
Okay.
I will attempt to supplement this by hunting along the way. Because I'm reminded, I don't know, I'm presuming everyone has watched the awesome extended versions of Lord of the Rings where you see Aragorn actually bringing the deer back when he's escorting the hobbits to Imladris. And I sort of envision those hobbits ate the whole thing up while Aragorn is sitting there staring at them like in awe and possibly a little terror.
Well, she's already eaten everything she's collected the night before, so you could be right on this point.
Yeah, it looks like traveler's rations are about $2 per meal.
So that's going to be 504 for 4 of us for 3 weeks.
And how much do we have in terms of gold pieces?
We had 3 gold pieces, so that's what, 200 and math.
I can
40.
throw in 105 because, well, he's selfless, so he has no problem throwing in his 105 to make that up.
You don't all have a lot of money, but definitely some of you do. So
Yeah, but some of us are greedy, like, the dwarf. He's not going to spend any money he doesn't have to.
Yeah.
See?
so he just failed his resisting greed disadvantage by 2. All right, so so Hori's going to be tight on the old coins in his hand, except for the gold pieces, I presume.
So we can get, if you throw in 100, let me work that out.
You'll also, and I mean, Caladorn, you know this, you're going to want to get group basics as well. This is part of the dungeon fantasy bit for camping.
Right.
You definitely want group basics.
Let's subtract that first, and then subtract the as much of the rations as we can. Like I said, he will try to augment this with hunting. He's got the
Which is
stealth, the
group
bow,
basics.
the tracking, traps, etc., etc.
All right. So group basics cost 50. You know,
Do you
good
have
old Duncan.
merchant, Hori? Does anybody have merchant? Is what I should probably ask.
No merchant for Hori.
So
Reach
there are various things you could try to do here. I'm going to drop some links into the chat. I'll try. This is all from Dungeon Fantasy Dungeons.
That'd be DF2.
Yes, DF.
Yeah.
Did that link open up?
Getting ready to go. Getting stuff cheap. We don't want to get stuff cheap. Scrounging. No, I don't have scrounging.
Well, defaults are always welcome.
With your
PCO's a merchant skill. Yep.
with your 100 and the 3 gold that we have, getting group basics and rations, we'll get 12 days of rations.
Okay. And if I can augment that with hunting along the way, then that may be adequate.
Indeed. I will also drop this in for your information as well.
Okay, so I see on page 5 of Def2 they have foraging, where it's like traveler who knows fishing, naturalist, or survival, no defaults, can forage in a world, roll once per trip. Let's see, I do not have fishing. I do have naturalist, and I strongly suspect Hamlin probably has naturalist as well. He might even have it higher than me. And then I have survival, although obviously mine's woodlands currently.
So I've dropped two
And
links.
success means you only need half as much food from rations. Oh, right. You're doing stuffs.
Well, I was going to say for camping, you might want to grab a tent.
That is cool.
You might want to grab a tent for camping. And then, yes, there's rules now.
What do you need a tent for?
There's rules here now on hunting on the land as well.
I'm totally gonna end up needing this this thing from you, this module.
Yeah, because the problem is if you don't have a proper tent, you can do like lean-tos, that sort of thing. That's not.
Is that not part of? Is that not group basics?
No, tents are not included, I think.
Interesting.
You've got cook, pot, rope, hatchet for 3 to 8 campers.
How much is a bloody tent?
80, I think.
A 4-person tent is 150.
We don't need no stinking tents. We can sleep outside. We need to be proper adventurers.
What time of year is it?
Oh, we'll say it's late summer.
Good Lord, we don't need a tent.
Maybe early spring. Let me see. I haven't thought about that.
The last time I went, last year, I went camping around the 4th of July, and I made the mistake of going around the 4th of July here in the furnace that is Oklahoma. And it was like the best night when I was camping was when we had a terrible thunderstorm, because I could go outside and go, oh my God, it's actually relatively sane out here. Speaking of, I should go camping around Memorial Day.
As long as someone has weather sense,
I do.
We should be right to sleep without a tent.
It's only at 11, but I do have it. Wonder why it's only at 11. Would have thought Outdoorsman would have jumped that up.
So
Wow.
Are you folks dragging stuff into the party sheet? Can you do that?
Wow. Outdoorsman does not include weather sense. Huh.
No,
Yeah, I
it's
think
not
we can.
possible to drag.
Okay, I guess we can't.
Oh, wait.
Unless we can.
Or is it something I have to do?
I think that's a GM thing. So we'll
Let me try.
We'll get group basics.
All right, group basics. Let's give it a go. Success.
I'm going to try something really quick on.
Does anyone have rope?
Okay, so we can do that, but it has to come from our inventory.
Ah, yes.
Because I tried to pull it from the items and it wouldn't work. So then I dragged it from the items to my inventory and then to the party sheet and it worked.
Yeah, Hamlin's got rope.
I do not. All I have is the default gear for that I carry. So clearly people probably look at me like a dirty hippie.
And we'll probably need at least a shovel.
Alrighty, I can drag a shovel in there. And how much are we getting?
So that costs 12.
However many rations we can still afford. But as I stated, Dungeon Fantasy 2, page 5, under foraging, has, the whole, if you know this, that person needs half as much food from rations. Critical success means that person can consume no rations or have the rations used by himself and one companion, which honestly is still the same thing. Failure still means some good days, but mostly bad ones. He needs only 2/3 as many rations. So, does Hamlin have naturalist?
Oh, is Hamlin there?
So if we get...
Sorry about that.
No worries. Do you have the natural skill? I'm kind of presuming you do since you're a healer.
I have naturalist. Yes.
What level is it?
It's a 13.
See, I knew it was going to be higher than mine because I have it as 12. So theoretically, the two of us can have the number of rations we need because we're like, yeah, you can eat those berries. You can eat that berry.
Yeah, that would make sense.
All right, so if we get 2 spades or 2 shovels...
Unfortunately, I only took 2/3, so, that's a bad berry.
Then we can get 11 days worth of rations.
That should possibly be adequate, I hope. I'm fairly certain they have a thing about hunting. Let me look.
So that would be 133 rations.
Done.
Those poor ponies are like, why are you putting MREs on me?
Okay, and how much money then do you have left of those 3 Rohanian gold pieces?
Rohanian, huh? So that would be single king at this point, I think.
Zero.
0.
And I have 5 copper pieces to my name.
All right. Well, make your adjustments on your character sheets if you did spend some money here.
Yep.
I broke, but the gentleman did give me some money, but I don't know if I had to spend it on stew or a room. So
You spend it on stew in a room. Stew,
Oh.
Stew,
Hey,
not STU.
So, point of order here, Nosh. In DF16, the wilderness thing, on page 43, it adds additional options for foraging. Because I made the naturalist test and I failed by 2. It states under hunting on land, roll against any ranged weapon skill at -4 plus the weapon's accuracy, and then it's treated as normal. So I would have succeeded. I will only need during the trip. I will only need half of the rations normal, like Hamlin.
Yeah. So just make a note of that for both you and Hamlin. You only need half the rations necessary. Is that what you're saying?
That is correct. Yeah, I will make a note.
Very well. Is that all you need for your trip, do you think?
No, we totally need more stuff, but that's all we can get. Certain we'll go, but we should have gotten X, Y, or Z, 3/4 of the way through there.
Okay. Well, let's press on. So you all gather together with your gear and head to the north of Bree, or just outside of Bree, where you're off to meet Jari. Do you folks want to share any information amongst each other as you're heading towards Jari, or are you kind of keeping your thoughts to yourselves?
That's true. Hamlin was going.
no, I'd like to. I have something to say to the group. Let me find it. I have it right here.
It's better to burn out than to fade away.
It is. That's for sure. Let me find it. Hang on one second.
I don't know if I'm cool about them rebooting that movie. But it does have him.
It was the old lore sheet you sent me.
Pity they didn't get an actual Scott, as much as I like Cavill.
I basically tell the group in the last years of the old kingdom of Erethdane, when there was a war between the dark lands of Angmor, the king's soldiers built many hidden fortresses and watchtowers along the weather hills as a bulwark against invasion. Secret paths and stairs, too. They cut into the earth so they could move unseen. They never left themselves without a hidden way out.
So Caledorn is going to eye Hamlin curiously, because this is Dunedain lore, and it's interesting that he knows it. And I think it's going to be at some point during the travel. They if they can be alone, and be inquire, how did he come about learning this sort of information?
Okay.
Do you want me to answer that or no?
No, not right now. This is just Rigel.
Yeah.
Out loud.
Because it's Caledorn is a Dunedain, and it's one of those is I didn't know. How does he know that?
So I shared what I gave you, Hamlin, with everybody, just so that they could read it for themselves.
Yes, I'm sure the accent doesn't help.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Hey, we have to deal with Ronki.
What do you mean? I don't have an accent. It's you guys that have the accent.
I have tried to listen to our YouTubes on like, double speed. And it's really funny because when I'm listening to him, everybody but Ronky sounds like or chipmunks. But Ronky finally seems to be speaking at a normal pace. You weirdo Aussies.
It's because
Okay,
we're all chill down here.
That's it. Anything else you're going to discuss amongst each other as you're heading outside of?
That's true. Does Hori and or Cassandra mention the weird suspicions that you had learned the night previous?
Yes, Hori will, with a clearer head, he'll divulge this information.
Very interesting. Well, we will have to keep on our toes.
Just checking in with Cassandra. She hasn't said something about anything at this point, but Cassandra, is there anything you're doing this morning aside from nursing your headache?
She has a rocking hangover. And her stomach growls.
Of course. Yes.
I had just had an amusing thought. What is Cassandra and Hori's heights? Because I know the dwarves are relatively short and the hobbits are really short, but I'm just curious how short she is.
Hori is 4'1".
If that's even... Wow, he is short.
Cassandra is 3'7".
3'7". Wow. So Caladorn is like a tower to her because as a Dunedain, he is well over 6'4".
Yeah, Cassandra is like, she is like a little tiny statue made of rock.
Man, I can put her in my pocket.
She'd be okay with that because it would save her having to walk.
I won't, because apparently I have to do hunting and stuff like that and like take out rabbits to compensate my food.
All right. So you can smell, as you're heading outside of town, you can smell the smell of frying eggs and sausage, and bacon. And you find Jari and Diarmok sitting a short distance outside Bree in a sheltered dell just north of Bree Hill. He's crouched over a campfire, merrily frying up a breakfast, and there are 4 fine ponies cropping the long grass nearby. And Jari jumps up, greets you. Friends, so good to see you. Eat, eat. We have a long journey ahead before us, and I'd like to make sure we all have full stomachs before we start marching.
He did not finish that sentence before Cassandra is probably chowing down.
Oh yeah, she like, as soon as she smells the bacon, she like picks up her pace. And then as soon as he jumps up, she just brushes past him and heads over for the food.
All right, dig right in.
Yeah, I would like to discuss with them the planned route and possibly take a look at the map to see if I can identify quicker routes or, a way to shorten it.
Right. So Jari, kind of cleans himself up and says, well, good ranger, my plan was to head off to the north along the edge of the Chetwood, once clear of the forest, to turn northeast and make straight for the Weather Hills.
Does that track with my understanding of I guess I should probably do navigation then?
Yeah, you could do a navigation.
And success by 1.
I think I've shared the map successfully.
Well, it's thinking for me. Hey, there's the map. So with the area knowledge, is the Weather Hills still classified as part of Breland, or?
Yeah, I would say it just at the end or the edge of the Breland, kind of the border area. So you can take it that Aragorn has told you, your area to survey is the Shire and the Breland. And he's probably got another ranger who's further out beyond the Weather Hills into Rudar.
Yep.
So by your reckoning, he's, I don't think he can really take you on a better route into the Weather Hills.
Very good.
When you get a chance, no rush. I did purchase the GURPS character assistant. Could you send me the file? Because I can play with the program.
Sure. Yeah. No, I can do that when we're done. 100%.
Yeah. No rush, man. Thank you.
So yeah, that's kind of the route he's got planned. You seem to think that makes good sense. You don't think it's going to take a week. But, that's kind of what he thinks it's going to take.
All right. Well, once everybody gets finished eating, we should probably get started.
Yeah. So
I'll have to go out and hunt some rabbit along the way.
So as you prepare to depart, you load up the ponies, and Jari and Darmuk are kind of getting the ponies all put together with your gear. So really, the only thing you need to carry on your person is whatever you want to carry on your person. Everything else can go on the ponies. So you should be technically encumbered for this trip.
Yep.
And remember to every so often to look at your quirks and stuff, just to see if these things perk up for a little bit of role playing.
Yep.
So breakfast is done.
I'm absolutely going to sprinkle some very hot pepper on something that Cassandra's eating while she's not paying attention.
Wow.
Okay.
He has an OPH of where he's kind of a gangster.
Okay. So basically, I'll show you the route he's got intended for you.
This is on the map.
Did it show up now?
No, I was just double checking because I had minimized it. It is on the map.
Is there an arrow showing now?
There is an arrow. Hey, we're going through the marshes.
Well, no, you're going to border the marshes. He's going to take you up north along the Chetwood. So Dungeon Fantasy has a very interesting way. I think it's a good way of determining how far you can travel. I have taken the liberty of just number crunching this all out. But basically, for our listeners, if you don't have Dungeon Fantasy adventure, wilderness adventures, basically it requires people to make an area knowledge check, sort of reveal a region's terrain type, and then you have to roll survival for that particular terrain type. And if you're successful in all of this, it reveals basically some following information. Now I'm hand waving this a little bit because Jari is the one who's leading everybody through here. But the distance to the Weather Hills is about 80 miles from Bree. The terrain type is a mixture of hills and gently sloping plains, although in low areas there can be marshes and bog, as it's a bit of a drain of water into the southern area, as you saw on the map. So the terrain type is going to reduce travel speed by about 50%. However, with the 4 ponies capable of carrying gear, you're unencumbered. The slowest member of the group is actually Hori. Not surprising. He's got a move of 6. The reduced travel speed for him takes it to 3. And
wow, it's Hori, not Sandra?
yeah. And final travel speed, according to Dungeon Fantasy rules, is halved, so that you are basically walking at about 1.5 miles per hour. And
Plenty of time to hunt rabbit.
oh yeah, and so basically, you're going to take the time to properly, pitch a camp. And so, how Dungeon Fantasy Wilderness Adventures does it is, you need half an hour to strike camp, 3 hours for meals in the day, half an hour to pitch camp, and 8 hours for sleep, roughly, which leaves about 12 hours to walk each day. So travelers should cover about 18 miles a day, and by your reckoning there, Caledon, you should be there in about 4.5 days. So we'll say that you travel about 18 miles for the first day. And if somebody knows survival, they're going to roll and try to set up camp successfully.
This is still in the Chetwood?
This would be at the very north end of the Chet, yeah.
All right. Success by 7.
All right, so you made it by 7. So everybody record 1 fatigue point for the day's travel, or reduce their fatigue by 1.
Right. Then we've got comfort, concealment, and what's the third one?
Lines of sight.
Right. So we want comfort.
Because you succeeded. Now you didn't get a critical success, but because you succeeded,
so I get 2.
You get to take 2 of the 3. So comfort, concealment, or lines of sight.
Definitely want comfort. We will recover that fatigue point. I kind of lean towards lines of sight because we're not really hiding. We're not running from Nazgul or anything like that. So we just want to make sure that, if something comes towards us, we can see them.
True that.
So I think that's going to be his goal. Comfort and lines of sight.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Until we get attacked monsters, and then we have to,
So now I'm going to just lift a page out of the actual the One Ring rules for their journey rules, and what I'm going to do is have Caledon make a marching test. And this is a marching test. So basically, you're going to roll against navigation land, cartography -4, or mathematics surveying -4.
It'll be nav land.
Okay. Good enough.
Ooh, success 1. I nearly failed that one.
Okay. And because you were a success, good. There's going to be an event that's going to happen on like the final day of your travel. So just keep that in mind.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so you pitch camp and And let's see. Nothing's going to happen in the night, but you have time to chit-chat and talk amongst each other. So what would you like to do once you've kind of had camp set up and you've had your meal?
Probably just get to know each other better.
How do
Find
you
out where
whisper?
everybody's been. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Because I want to ask I was going to email the GM something here, but I didn't know how to do that without. Now I made everybody suspicious, but I can't remember how to whisper in the chat bar.
/W space GM goes to the GM. If you're trying to whisper to another PC, go /W and start to type it. So for like example, if you were sending it to me, you'd type CAL and then hit tab. And it should populate the rest of the name.
Another way to do it is type your message, don't hit enter.
Oh, right click on the thing, but
And
that's
then
only
you
works
can-
against the PCs.
And then you can drag and drop it to the avatar.
But that doesn't work for the GM.
Okay.
No.
Anyways, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take time away from the game.
No worries. Yeah, we are always having to relearn things. This may be the time where Caladorn may try to find out how Hamlin learned Dunedain lore. He's not trying to be aggressive or intimidating. He's just legitimately curious how he learned that.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Just say I've been around quite a bit. I hear things and just pick stuff up.
Well, we'll let you two role play that out.
Okay. Just say I've been, I've been all over, whatever that means. I've been to quite a few places in Middle Earth and sing songs and meet a lot of people. And I've just, overheard stories. And this is just one of the pieces of lore, excuse me, that I've picked up.
Most interesting. I have not met other men who have know of the Dunedain beyond various rumors.
I guess I'm full of surprises.
Indeed, for our declining species.
I brush that off. I just nod like, okay, this sounds. I don't say this to them, but we're all declining species as adventurers as we get wiped out.
Ha! Speak for yourself. I intend to live forever.
Okay. Yeah, so, Jari's making supper, and Darmok, he's just helping along. He's pretty quiet. Doesn't really seem
more about him too.
to stand out too much to anybody's attention. He's just there helping in the background where he can. Does anybody have area knowledge, say Gondor or Rohan or History Gondor or History Rohan, or
I did.
perhaps geography of the road that runs south to say Minas Tirith?
I have Minas Tirith.
Yeah, so does Cassandra.
How about geography? Have you got geography?
North-South Road, Great West Road, East-West Road.
All right. If you wish, you could roll against the north-south road geography. Ooh, you needed an 11. You just made it. All right. Yeah, thanks for the area knowledge roll there for Minas Tirith, but this is specifically more to the area south of Area Door.
I totally wanted to be broken.
However, Hamlin, you could try an IQ -4 as a default because you have actually traveled through that area. If you want to do like an IQ -4 roll.
Okay, let me do that. I made it by 2.
Smart guy. You made it by 2. You needed a 15. Or sorry, needed a
Holy
9.
cow, your intelligence is 15. You are a smart dude.
I enjoy wasting my character points.
Nice.
Okay. So both Cassandra and Ham, you've been watching Darmok, and well, just from the way he speaks and the way he's dressed, your guess would be that he is from near south, from the near south, beyond Dunland, maybe from the border of Gondor's western marches. Travelers from that region are not unheard of lately, as rumors of trouble and shadow in the south are driving them to safer lands. But still, this is kind of unusual.
So this is like a specific accent that he has.
His accent, his dress, that's kind of what you're seeing as like, he's not really from around here.
He'll kind of note it, but just she's going to take a little bit of time, just kind of observe his mannerisms.
So you're going to observe him a bit more, okay?
Caladorn's going to be asking about him, even though he's not aware of this. He wants to know more about the people he's traveling with. Where is he from? Does he have family? How did he come into contact with the dwarf guy who's my brain completely forgot the name of? Jari.
So you're talking to Darmok?
Yeah, I'll totally chat with him.
All right. So Darmok, he... just hang on a second. Okay, so Darmok, he'll smile at you, and he'll say, "Well, my kinfolk and me, we left the south and we traveled north, but we were waylaid, unfortunately."
By bandits.
No, not bandits. No, something far more terrifying. He stops and he kind of looks down at the ground, and he says, "No, we were waylaid by, well, I've never seen one before, but they tell me they were they were trolls."
Oh,
Bunch of
I am terribly sorry to hear that.
Yes, only I escaped, and
You're my deepest condolences, friend.
his voice starts to quiver a bit. I don't know what became of my family. I hope they're alive. I hope one day I can maybe someday find them again and rescue them if they haven't already been eaten. Oh my God, I can't imagine.
So Caldorn's Selfless is going to activate here. I'm going to automatically fail the disad, and he's going to say, well, let me promise you this, friend. Once we're done with this mission, I will try to help you find your family.
He says, I really appreciate that. Yeah, we really do need to help. We really do need to help Jari find his great uncle's buried treasure. Excuse me, I shouldn't have said anything about the trolls. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Treasure is less important than family, my friend.
I didn't mean to avert us from our goal here.
Yeah, he'll definitely like it. Treasure is far less important than family.
Hori might shrug and give Kalidor a bit of a side eye. Some family, maybe.
I'm sorry. He kind of wipes his eyes. We have to focus on this. Of course, I appreciate your offer to help. Very much so. It's just important that we help him get that treasure.
Well, Caldorn will insist that, once we're done, or even before that, we'll see what we can do. He's not really along on this mission for sure anyway. He's more for just the adventure.
Yep. Alrighty. So Jari's finished cooking the meal and invites everyone to have a sit down by the fire and warm themselves and enjoy their supper. Anything else that you want to do this evening before you turn in?
Well, since we're in the wild now, we're definitely going to need to set up a watch schedule.
Very well. Go ahead.
I'll volunteer to take the first one. No one else has volunteered first.
We
Also reminds me as I have to look up one of my disads.
unfortunately we can't edit the watch order in the party sheet. That has to be GM edited. Hori will go last watch.
Okay, so we'll put this in the. We'll put this. I'm just going to put it in order here. So Hamlin, you said you'd start first.
Sure.
Can I?
Yeah, you can take mid.
Dick puts in the party sheet, puts them in with.
Watch order, yeah. So if you put 1 on Hamlin, and then I guess 4 on Hori, it should arrange. I have no idea if Cassandra's going to take 1, but Caldorn's definitely going to take mid.
That's interesting. It's not allowing me to type anything into their name slots here. That's weird.
Is there not? I see
the name slots you can't type, but you should be able to change the number. So control mouse wheel up and down.
You can't just click in there and 1, 2, 5, whatever. That's interesting.
No, it allows you to delete, but it doesn't allow you to move anything around. I think I'll have to put them in the order on the. In the order, you know what I'm talking about. Oh, there it is. Watch order. Duh. Okay, so Hamlin's 1. Who's taking the second one?
Have Cassandra do that one, and then I'll take 3, which will probably be the crappiest. And then Hori can take the last one. I'm going to have to make a health roll anyway because I have light sleeper.
If you're on the party sheet, you might want to drag your avatar onto the formations as well. So if we have a marching order.
Yeah. So I've got Hori, you're already at the back. I'll put Calidor at the front. Yeah, just put yourselves where you want to be in the marching order then. There we go. Okay, good stuff, good stuff. Okay, so everyone tucks in. And Hamlin, you've got the first watch. Are you going to do anything?
What if I could walk a perimeter, keep an eye on the camp, but just, go in between. I don't know if this is wooded.
You're just at the edge of the Chetwood, so it's a little wooded, yeah.
I could try to stay somewhat concealed, but keep an eye on the camp itself.
Okay. Sounds good.
Not that I want to pretend, not that I want to not be seen, but might be better to do that than maybe catch something that's trying to surprise us.
Right. No, it's a quiet watch for you. And
Awesome.
What's that?
I said that's awesome, at least for me.
Yeah. So Cassandra, you wake up. Hamlin wakes you up for your watch.
Right. I'm up.
Are you really?
She will spend her watch chatting with the ponies, basically having a heartfelt discussion with them.
Okay. And the ponies look at you and try to nuzzle you with their big nose, hoping maybe you've got food for them.
Oh, sorry. I don't have any food for you.
And your watch goes without any incidents. So now it's time to wake up Calidor.
She'll go poke him. Oi.
And due to light sleeper, he will immediately awake. It's time.
Yep.
Calidor, what will you do for your watch?
Pace around the camp, occasionally puffing on his pipe, studying everybody, or studying the terrain. Maybe snacking on some jerky.
And your watch goes uneventfully, and time to wake up Hori.
Time to get up, Master Dwarf.
Oh, really? Very well.
And Master Dwarf. Go ahead.
Hori will reluctantly get up and don his armor, and he'll just sort of stand away from the camp. We had lines of sight. Was our
Yep.
So he'll stand at the vantage point that gives him best line of sight to the camp, and he'll just sort of stand there and watch.
All right. And you watch the sun creep up over the crest of the weather hills in the distance, and you can see far, far, far in the south just what you suspect is a Weathertop, just far, far, far to the south. And you notice that there's a mist rolling down from the weather hills. It looks like it might be a wet day today. your watch passes uneventfully, and so you wake everyone up, and Jari jumps up and starts to get breakfast on the go.
Corey will sort of mutter to himself, "Damn it, maybe we should have got that tent."
Uh-huh. So you carry on, and you head kind of in a northeast direction at this point, and start to cross in a northeastern way over the Midgewater marshes. I think hopefully the arrow has shown up in your map.
It has.
And yeah, Jari just seems to be his usual jovial self. And Diremark, keeps moving along, being quiet, but looking ahead to the Wither Hills with some anticipation. Anything you want to do on this day of travel as you're heading across the landscape?
Let's see. So, what are the capabilities of Jari and Dermark?
The capabilities. Well,
Yeah, I mean, I've sort of identified everybody else. You know, it's like you got me, I'm a scout. Got Cassandra, who's basically a burglar. We got Hamlin, who's a healer, and basically a bard. Hori's a warrior. You know, what are they?
Well, from what you can tell, Jari appears to be precisely what he says. He's very skilled at packing, horse, doing the sort of animal handling. He seems to be very, very comfortable being out in the land. Appears to have a really good eye for campsites. Nothing there really appears to be different from how he's presented himself. With Diremark, you get the sense that he's not a person of the land. He doesn't seem to really enjoy this traveling bit. He's not really complaining, but he's just not as engaged, if you put it that way.
That's kind of suspicious, isn't it? Why would, I mean, I don't know.
Certainly, you don't get the sense that Diremark and Jari are close. Like, there's no really good small talk between them. There's just Diremark kind of doing what either he's told or what he wants to do or feels he needs to do.
Right. So I'm going to ask both individually, by themselves, so how did you meet? It's like ask Jari that, and then a little bit later, maybe around noonish or so, ask Dermark, so how did you meet?
Okay. And what are the rest of you? What are the rest of you going to be doing while they're getting ready to head off on the second day here of travel?
I play a tune.
All right.
Sandra is staying out from underfoot and is basically just kind of hanging around.
She's totally riding one of the ponies.
She might be.
Laurie will be humming to the tune quite gleefully, and will just go about his business.
Okay. So yeah, Hamlin, you succeeded. You're on your playing the lute by a 6. Very well done. So you play a very rousing tune that puts everybody in a good mood to go walking. And sorry, Caledorn. Yeah, as you're walking along, you sidle up to Darmok and tell me, how do you broach this topic with him?
Well, Caledorn is clearly kind of chatty, so he's just like, just curious. I'm curious. How did you meet Jari?
All right, Darmok. Again, he's not really looking you in the eye. He's just watching his feet as he walks, or he looks out to the weather hills. And he says, "Well, I met Jari on the road outside of Bree, and Jari asked me to give him some help to bolster his attempts to recruit adventurers. You might remember I came in and sort of sat there behind you all. Do you remember that?"
You.
Yeah. So I know I met him outside on the road outside of Bree, and well, I guess he could see I was down on my luck. He seems to notice that, don't you see?
So, how could you confirm that Jari's story was true? Didn't he say that?
Oh, he paid me to as I say, I guess I should be
I see.
a little honest here, but I mean, I needed some money as well after what's happened, and but I believe him. He fears that there are going to be dangers in that valley, and so I believe he does need to have some help. That much I do believe, and I believe he's when he says he's got a treasure, I have no reason to doubt him. Anybody?
Caledorn's totally thinking of Hori's warning about how not to trust the other dwarf, and he's like kind of starting to lean towards that.
Is anybody got body language or detect lies or empathy?
That's a big fat no for me. I've barely got any social skills. Comes from being a hippie.
Yeah. Do you want to try like maybe even like a default on any of those?
Can I on some of those? Let me look. So, well, I can try detect lies at default. Which unfortunately is not great. Let's see. Holy cow! Success by 0.
Look at that. So you needed an 8. Yeah, you got an 8. Well done. All right. Well, I mean, as a player, you are using your good sense to know that he's obviously not being as forthcoming as he probably should be. As a character, however, you are very much convinced that he is hiding something. Because you notice that, even on this second day now, as you're walking along, his mood is growing ever darker and more troubled as you make your way to the weather hills.
Hmm. Anybody else have any recommendations? Because I think my initial thoughts was to basically like lower my voice and do the "Hey, dude." I have, well, not "Hey, dude," because this is Middle Earth, and it's like, I was sworn to try to help you retrieve your family after this. What's going on that you're not telling us? You can trust me, even though I don't have the honest face perk. But if anybody else has any ideas about stepping in and going, hey, what about this? Or
Yeah. So, what are the rest of you doing? I mean, you can see that Caladoran's having this conversation with Darmok, but is there any interest in their conversation, or are you just sort of doing your own thing?
Hori will be interested because he was initially warned about trust and stuff. So he'll mosey on up and say, what's going on?
At that point, Darmok is just going to kind of shift away and move away and try to just get on the other side of some ponies away from you, all of you.
something
smell
does
that
not
bad.
add up. No, something doesn't add up right. The Armok is hiding something.
What could he be hiding?
I don't know, but I certainly don't trust Jerry either. Jari, or however you pronounce it.
Well, I don't think they're about to rob us or anything like that. We don't have anything of value. And they've certainly paid more already than we have of worth. So if there's something afoot, it must be
Hence my
something
confusion,
else.
Master Dwarf.
Well, perhaps we should confront them. If there's more to this story, then I would like to know. As you know, I was warned about Jari. Though I don't know anything about Darmok other than what we've learnt in our day's travels.
He evidently lost his family to trolls.
That's terrible.
Yes. I'd sworn to help him find his family after this is over.
Hori will sort of give Caladorna a
Is there a way? Are there truth berries, or is there berries in nature that we could find to maybe make somebody tell the truth?
That's it. We're gonna poison or medicate them.
Well, you can make a naturalist roll or a pharmacy herbal roll, but just based off of what you know, you've never ever heard of such a thing.
Oh, okay.
Well, let's
So, no.
talk to this Darmok fella. I want to know what's going on.
All right. Who is going to talk to Darmok now?
Do dwarves? No, they don't automatically get bad temper. Hori will.
Okay, so Darmok is again he's moved away. He's over by another pony now, just walking along.
Hori will say, you look like there's something troubling you, and that troubles me.
Darmok says, "Oh, I have things on my mind. We all get that way from time to time, do we not?"
We do. And at those times, sometimes it's best to share. What's troubling you? What's on your mind? We're friends here.
Are we? He says, and he casts a glance over at Jari.
What do you mean? Are we not friends?
Well, friend.
And he will look over to Jari. Do you not consider him friend?
Yeah, I do not consider him friend.
Well, this is something that I definitely want to know about. What have we got ourselves into with this Jari?
He
Out with
sighs.
it.
And then he hangs back. He just hangs back and he looks at Jari and he hangs back. So everyone keeps walking ahead, but he hangs back.
Well, Hori will hang back with him.
What do you have for what do you have for influence skills whatsoever?
I can intimidate him. But Hori won't do that until unless this guy is intending to be tight-lipped. So
Okay.
I'll go with a normal reaction roll, I guess.
No, I don't think so. I think it's just I was curious to know what your influence capacity was, but I think your considerate nature will also play well here. So Dharmak, he stops and then he kind of kneels down as if to sort of pretend he dropped something. Of course, probably that's closer to your ear anyway. So he says, "There's more to this quest than was said at Bree.
Well,
That valley contains little treasure." And then his voice breaks. It's home to a band of foul trolls who capture and eat people. They waylaid my family, devoured them. I met Jari as I was wandering around, bereft and lost. Jari came up with this tale of the lost treasure in order to recruit some stalwart adventurers. But their real goal is slaying the trolls, not finding dwarf gold. But I imagine those trolls probably have a fortune worth taking all the same.
I knew it. This was too good to be true. You should have led with that, or Jari should have led with that.
Do you have body language, detect lies, or empathy?
Nope.
Did you want to try a default?
That will be on perception, I believe.
Yeah, detect lies is perception minus 6.
That's not gonna help.
Okay. All right. So take it for what it is. And Dharmak just looks at you and he says,
I should point out, some of us might not know that rolls into the box can now be made by holding down control while making the roll.
Oh, really?
Yes. Except for it works for the GM as well. But you normally, if the GM hides rolls and you make a roll into the box, then it's shown.
But it shows it on me because I just did that and I see the tower next to mine, but I actually see the result.
Let me finagle something here. What if I take the tower off? Hang on a second. Okay, I took the tower off. Now try.
Nope, I still see the result.
Oh, have you updated the rule set?
Me, yeah.
No, I mean GM.
Oh,
You mean like the latest patch and all that good stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, no, it was running the most current. Oh,
Interesting.
yeah, I should be running the latest. So Darmok will just look at you, stand up, look down at you, and say, I'm sorry, Mr. Dwarf. Do with that information as you will, but it is what it is.
So this is nothing more than a trip of vengeance for your family, and I apologize for what happened to them. They have already been devoured by these trolls.
that's a hell of an assumption.
Well, that's what he said. He actually said that.
I'm sorry, but I want to see those trolls dead.
Well,
I don't know
we
about
cannot
Jarky.
function as a team here unless we can trust one another. And it is about time that we bring this out to the open so we can all go in this clear of what it is we hope to achieve.
And slay the trolls.
Now would be the time for your intimidation roll.
If he objects, then Hori will intimidate.
Okay. He does object.
I must disagree.
Ooh.
We are potentially going into a fight with trolls, and I've seen my fair share of trolls, and they're not to be messed with, or they're not to be underestimated.
So you needed to make it. Your intimidation was 13. You made your roll, succeeded by 5. So you have done very well.
I must insist, whether you like it or not, that we are truthful about what it is we're doing here.
Okay. So at this point, something happens to Darmok. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't transform into a Balrog. No.
Does he transform into a troll?
No.
What a twist!
No, but his breathing becomes super shallow, and this anxiety just washes over him like in an instant. So it's almost like, he was close to snapping, and he's been on edge crossing to the Weather Hills, but this was the last straw. And so with really short breaths, he just says, you can't, my family's being held hostage by the trolls.
You said that they were devoured.
I lied. My family is being held hostage by trolls. If Jari does not bring them victims to eat, or if Jari warns them, then the trolls are going to kill my wife and my children. And Jari needs to He needs to be able to signal to the trolls. I don't know how, but he needs to let them know that we are bringing you as victims to be.
Caladorn, get over here.
I just had this mental image of Hori just turning and walking and smacking Yori straight in the back of the skull with his axe. Caladorn will attend.
So you can see
What
that
goes amiss?
Diarmok is just visibly shaken. The blood's drained from his face. He's now just on the verge of absolute panic. And
What has transpired here?
so go ahead there, Hori, and I'll finish up with Diarmok once you pass the information.
It is as you suspected. We have been lied to. Is it Jory? He intends to sacrifice us to trolls to save Darmok's family here.
Caladorn will look to Darmok and say, I swore to you that I would help you retrieve your family.
I know, and I appreciate that, but you have to understand this is all my fault. I brought my family to this desolate land, and he led Zem and me into the clutches of these trolls. My conscience can no longer permit me to allow him to continue with this madness. I'm already lost, but I will not. I will not. Just let me finish. Let me finish.
Yep.
I will not allow him to damn others to their death. My family, I believe, are still alive. But I simply urge you all to leave. Flee, save your lives before the trolls come for us.
So Caladorn is going to step over there and put his hand on Darmok's shoulder and say, be at peace, friend. And then he's going to look to Hori and say quietly, we must move against Jari quickly.
So by now, Cassandra and Hamlin, you notice that your friends are not with you as you're continuing to walk along.
What was that?
Cassandra.
Oh, so she'll just kind of look around and like tug on Hamlin's sleeve and say, where'd the others go? They were right here.
I don't know. I guess I was self-absorbed. I didn't notice where they went.
And I totally just unleashed him or Hori.
So
What are
when
his... Yeah, go ahead.
I was like, when she looks around, does she actually see them behind us, or are they completely out of your sight now?
No, you see them. They're just some distance back, and you can see that Hori is, and because Caladorn are talking to Darmok. Darmok does not look well, and Caladorn's got his hand on Darmok's shoulder.
Yeah. So she'll see Hori with his intimidate stance and face, and she'll be like, "Oh, that's not good. I've seen that before. It's not good. Whatever it is."
The player's mostly interested to see what Hori's going to do, and Caladorn did we need to move against Jari quickly.
Well, Hori will sort of grab hold of the hilt of his axe and remove it from wherever he keeps it, over his shoulder or whatever. And he says, okay. I can take care of this.
And Darmok just pleads, oh my, no, heavens, no. If Jari does not signal to the trolls, my family's lives are forfeit. You cannot possibly prevent him from doing this.
Hori will sort of stop turn around, and he says, I will not be sacrificed to trolls.
I don't want you to be sacrificed. That's why
And I
I'm
s-
saying, please leave. Leave now.
And I swore to you to help find your family.
Well, if
And then he's going to nod to Hori.
Ari does not make that signal, then you've killed them already.
Then we must move quickly. By the way, quick question: did we, based off of the comfort thing, we recovered the point of fatigue from sleeping, right?
Unless you sure did.
I may have missed it when you said that, though. All right, do it to it, Hori.
Hori is going to start running. He's a natural sprinter.
Very dangerous over short distances.
Hopefully, it is a short distance to Jory. And from the back, Hori is going to tackle Jory to the ground.
Nice.
Okay, and as you go running, trotting,
It's a sprint.
Darmok just screams no and drops to his knees. And Jari will turn around and in an instant realize what's happened.
And suddenly you will hear the Star Trek Amok Time music start playing as you close in on him.
And so Jari, he starts to run as he sees Hori bearing down on him. And
Oh crap, I'm going to have to pursue.
And as fate would have it, Jari trips and falls to the ground. And so, Hori, you are like on him fast.
Hori will pile on.
And Jari will say, "Get off of me! Get off of me, you damn fool! What's the meaning of this?"
So Hori's intent is to sort of sit on his back or belly, whichever way Jory has sort of fallen.
Okay, he's fallen on his belly. So now he's more like, "How dare you! Hey, Seth, get off me! Hey, no!"
You lied to us. You intend to sacrifice us to trolls.
And that's the first that Cassandra and Hamlet is.
What?
I'll not be troll food.
I have powerful friends. I have powerful friends. They will bring down ruin on all of your heads. Let me go immediately.
Your immediate problem is not your enemies and friends. It's me.
Freeze! Oh my God.
I don't care. If Jory has any weapons on him, like a blade or, axe or anything like that, Hori intends to remove those while he's sitting on top of him and toss them to the side.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Caladorn is calmly asking Darmok, what kind of trolls are they?
All right, so
relax, friend. We will find your family and rescue them.
So two things. First, you do find a blade on him, a simple dagger. You find again his coin bag, and that's about it. That's about all you find. So you easily take those off of him. Darmok, he he simply just says, "You've killed my family. You've killed them. Jari's not going to cooperate. The signal will not be given, and they will die. And oh my God, what have I done?"
Wait. What signal? What family?
Who's gonna?
This has been a great lie.
Yeah, somebody needs to sum up.
Yes, that filthy dwarf up there is leading us into a trap. Poor Diarmok's family has been captured by trolls, and Jari is leading us as a sacrifice to those trolls.
Well, that's not very nice.
Clearly, he is already lost to the shadow. But I have sworn to aid Master Diarmok in retrieving his family.
So the Cole's notes here are that Diarmok brought his family up from the Dunland, basically because he was pushed out by some horse lords, and because of course things in the south are perhaps not the way they should be. And he came up, and he was going to head for Bree, but he was intercepted by Jari, who told him, "Well, Bree is a place full of brigands and ne'er-do-wells, and I know a beautiful valley where you and your family can resettle." And that's the trap that Jari pulled him into. Now, Jari will deny all of this as he's being sat upon, but Diarmok will come to his senses and sit there and just say, "You lied, and you told me that Bree was a dangerous place, but I went there, and it's a wonderful community. It would have been perfect for my family." So now what?
Now we need to learn information, and none of us are going to have interrogation.
So Jari finally just says, "Well, are you going to get off of me so I can talk and breathe properly?"
Absolutely not.
While Hori is sitting on him, Cassandra wants to go through his pockets. And see what he has.
Well, you go through his pockets, and there isn't nothing there aside from maybe a couple of coins and like a handkerchief. He really doesn't have much on him.
There weren't any coins in that purse.
Well, there were. He still had some coins in his purse that Hori had taken off.
They're mine now. All right. So he doesn't have anything on him, no information, no whistle, nothing.
Nope, nothing. Jari just keeps repeating, "I'm sorry, Diarmok, they've killed your family."
Are you sure? How do you know this?
I'm absolutely positive, because I was supposed to signal them that I was bringing you to them. And if the signal doesn't, well, then they're dead. And it's on your heads.
Then they're
So,
still alive.
I think-
Yes, they're very much alive.
Why can't you just give the signal? Sorry.
Yeah, what is the signal? Yeah, go ahead.
Why can't you just give the signal?
Are you going to let me? Or are you taking me back to Bree to face justice? Or are you going to dispense justice here, Ranger?
So Caladorn is going to approach Jari, and he's going to kneel in front of him. He's staring at him. He's like, "You really wish to help us. No man, no dwarf can walk so long in the shadow that they cannot come again to the light. Please help us." help him, and point to the Armagh.
So now, here's where the influence skills need to come to bear.
That's so sad.
Hori
I
will
have
sort
a
of be looking
5 in diplomacy.
Hori will be looking at Caledon and thinking, "Damn hippies."
Thinking
So,
what? You're thinking what?
Damn hippies.
Damn hippies.
No, he's trying to be a genuinely good guy. He's following the his chieftain's role. Not role. Does anyone have diplomacy?
Nope.
Nope. I think the
Fast
default
talk.
is IQ -6.
Yeah,
Fast
Our,
that's
talk.
our
kind of a
super
5.
smart Hamlin one.
Intimidation, sex.
You want me to try?
Yeah. If if you want to, I mean, I have a 5 in it. Oh, look
Ooh.
at that!
Wow.
Awesome.
3.
Oh, a nat 3.
Critical
What a-
Dude,
success.
you've
What a
got me
roll when we needed
convinced
it.
of. I'm willing to follow you. All the way to Mordor.
Now, so you were making an IQ at -6. What skill was that for there, Hamlin?
Probably diplomacy, I think.
I apologize. I figured that I heard you say IQ -6.
Well, let's find out what skill
That
that
is
was.
diplomacy. IQ -6.
Yeah, because to be honest, I don't have diplomacy.
Leadership is IQ -5.
Well, it
No,
matters.
Interrogation is IQ -5.
It matters not. Hamlin, he. Okay, well, Hamlin, how would you like to win Jari over here?
How would you like to
He's-
win?
He's sitting there, and he can't breathe because he's got Hori on him. Tell me, how are you going to win Jari over?
Well, say, how about if we let you go, you come with us, but do not betray us. If you betray us, then we will let the ranger take care of you.
Okay, so you're going to try to be on the winning side here.
Well, I hate to speak for the group, but I know we're supposed to role play this out, but I'd like to try to assure him, knowing that I can't control anybody, but just assure him that we will let him go here. We can go see where the trolls are. He can give the sign, and then after we get the family back, then we can part ways.
Rip off the Tom Cruise movie. Help us, help you.
Okay,
Right.
So
That's a great idea.
So, okay, so we'll just backtrack a bit. We know that he got a critical success. Why don't you guys talk it out amongst yourselves so that he kind of knows what he's going to say, what he's going to offer to Jari to win him over. So you guys could have that group chat, as Hori's sitting on him.
Yeah, once we know how many trolls there are, what kind of trolls there are, we can potentially. I mean, we're pretty badass, so we can take these trolls. He just needs to help us help him.
I like that, and then can give us any intelligence that he knows about how many trolls, etc., what weapons they may have.
Exactly. And no dwarf is going to want to actively work with trolls. He's got some self-respect, even if it's buried under layers of cynicism and sadness and despair and beard.
I could say, let us help. Why don't you help us help you by helping his family out? Let us know how many trolls there are, what they have for weapons. I know that you don't have any love for trolls, it being a dwarf.
And then we remove them.
We take care of that problem and then part ways.
Part ways. You let me go? He looks at the ranger.
Only if you are honest and truthful in your aid.
You don't know what you're facing.
Then tell me. Tell us.
She is horrible. She's ghastly. And she's powerful.
So
Sounds like
she's
my
a woman.
ex-wife.
What is it? A friend of mine made the comment where he ripped off Return of the Jedi, where it's like, she's more bitch now than woman, twisted and evil. Clearly, he was referring to his ex.
All right. How do you know you can defeat the trolls?
How do you know we can't?
How do you know you can? You don't know what you're dealing with here.
Then tell us.
All right. Can I at least, he says, have some air to talk? Oh.
Come on, Jorge. Let him at least breathe a little bit.
Reluctantly, Hori will sort of get up and he'll sort of stand over him with his axe in hand and says, I keep this sharp.
And also completely unrelated, every time you say reluctantly, you pause. And my brain goes to the Cake song, reluctantly crouch, and all that. And I'm like, damn it, stop it, Brian. Stop pausing right after saying reluctantly.
So he sits up and looks up at everybody. He looks at Darmok and shakes his head. He says, they're stone trolls. There's 4 of them. They're brothers. And they come out of the hellish womb of a troll who calls herself Nellie Longarms. I did go into the valley looking for treasure. That much is true. And I went in there looking for treasure. Instead, I found a family of trolls. They'd come down from the troll shaws and they'd satiated themselves on what I can only see as being the sheep and the cattle of a family that had moved into the area. God knows they've probably killed them off too. And they caught me, and I managed to, bargain with them to save my life. You understand? So I promised them that I'd bring them things to eat. And that's when I met Darmok and his family, come up from Dunland.
Well, I'll not be food for trolls.
Well, nor will I, he said.
So, stone trolls, right?
Yes,
Yes.
So, Cassandra might have heard her cousin Bilbo talking about his encounter with the stone trolls, right?
Oh, God, he tells
Oh.
everybody about it.
So she'll share what he told her, which is basically how he, once they were hit by sunlight, they turned to stone. Can we trick him? Kind of like my cousin Bilbo did?
Ori will look at the group and see, is that true?
Trolls are not known for being particularly intelligent, but that does extend, or, that is the extent of my knowledge about them. I have
And
never encountered them.
I'm going to drop something for Cassandra's consideration. Maybe something to chuckle about, maybe something to share if she wants.
It's going to be a link to the Hobbit movie, but it's set right to the troll scene.
Did you get that, Cassandra?
I got it. I'm reading it now.
But since she's from Alabama, she never learned to read.
Wow.
Says the guy in Oklahoma.
I know, right?
In my defense, I was originally from Florida.
That's not much
But
better.
yeah, we have Florida man there.
Oh, that is funny. I love that.
Do you want to share it with them? I just thought.
No, she's just going to chuckle about it to herself.
Well, she'll say, "Well, there was one other hobbit that I heard about who dealt with trolls. He decided, I don't know why he did this, but he decided one day to invent a contraption to sell to trolls. He was trying to sell umbrellas to them. And he was absolutely convinced that the only reason trolls were so angry and violent was because of their unsociable hours. And sheltering them from sunlight would morally redeem them.
Huh.
So he supposedly set off with a bundle of parasols to the Trollshaws in the year around 1350 or so. And no one ever really found out what happened to him.
Did this
But
paragon of Hobbit mercantilism have a name?
yes, his name was Montgomery Took Bellows.
I'm going
But
to shake my head
apparently,
and say, fool of a duke.
nice. But apparently, once upon a time, some dwarves found what was left of a parasol. Um, about a day or so travel away from the Forsaken Inn.
This is when Ori goes, oh my God, that was you? You guys are crazy.
All right. Well, a little Shire lore that Cassandra knew. So Jari says, fine. Fine. If you think you can defeat these trolls, they hole up in the ruins of a watchtower in the cellar area.
I'm on a stool.
But their mother, she abides somewhere else in that area. I only saw her when she captured me near the lake that's in the little valley.
Then we must focus on them first and then move against the mother afterwards. Holy crap, I'm totally thinking of Beowulf, by the way. Somebody with a really good strength needs to tear a troll's arm off.
So anyway, Diarmok is much relieved to hear that Jari is that you've won him over, and dare I say, Hamlin, you did that in an amazing way.
Yeah, impressed all of us. We're willing to follow him now too. And the best thing is, it's totally worth putting some points in diplomacy next week.
Yeah. So I guess we could call him the Pied Piper of Hamlin. Huh?
Boom, boom,
Ah.
boom. Shh.
Oh,
He's
okay.
not a piper. He plays a lute.
Shh. You're ruining the joke.
Pied looter? The lewd looter of Hamlin. Wait, no. Lewd has certain connotations we don't want to use. Right. So we need to move on and kill some trolls and be super badasses. We're all going to die, by the way.
Yeah, we are.
Well,
I'm
So
trying to remember what troll, cave trolls are like. Are they, super tough? Do they regenerate like D&D trolls? Does anybody have any skill that would allow us to know information regarding trolls? Or more accurately to the GM, what skill would we use to identify what information we know about trolls?
Well, I think Cassandra's right. I think it is fairly common knowledge that these particular trolls from the troll shaws cannot abide sunlight and will turn to stone.
Right. But what about other weaknesses or advantages?
Well, and again, knowing that they aren't terribly bright, is it possible one could trick them? That's another possibility. But you also know that, let me see if I can find just a bit more information for you. Hang on.
well, at least we bought shovels if we need to dig our own graves.
Boom, boom. Yeah, from the what is the official name of this wiki? The Lord of the Rings wiki, the one wiki to rule them all. Only the shoulder, arm, and foot of the cave troll are actually described in the book, as the troll forces the door to the chamber of Mazarbul open before being stabbed in the foot and driven off. The arm has a dark skin of greenish scales. The foot is flat and toeless. The creature's blood is black and smokes upon touching the ground. So that's
Now,
technically all is in the official book canon.
now that's a cave troll.
That is a cave troll, yeah. You said these guys were cave trolls, didn't you?
No. These are stone
Stone.
trolls.
Okay.
So I'm going to read.
Wow,
this.
there's no official stone troll.
I'm going to read this to you.
Cool.
It's a Tor thing or the One Ring thing, I think, mostly. So as is well known, stone trolls cannot tolerate the light of the sun, for its touch turns them to stone. To avoid this calamity, trolls take refuge in caves or in the deepest woods where no sunshine penetrates the forest canopy. And so, hence why they're sheltering in the cellar areas during the day. But the word troll shawl or troll shawl also gives you a clue to how they perhaps operate in the sunlight, or at least use it to some effect, because the parasol idea, maybe not so crazy after all. The trolls will actually use large, heavy blankets made of cowhides to basically protect themselves if they're cut out in the sun. And so they can be outside so long as they're away from those UV rays. So that's another thing that you've heard that they do when they want to move about in the daylight, or at least be out somewhere in the daylight, but under the cover of these troll shawls. Which makes you wonder about the naming of the trees in the book, the troll shawls. All right, everybody get that?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. So Jari says, fine. If you believe you can kill them, that's great.
Help us. Help.
I will do so, and we will proceed as planned. And then he turns to you and he says, if I can earn or win over any of your forgiveness, and he looks at Darmok, then yes, please let me help you, help yourselves, and help me, and we'll all be fine, won't we? And he suddenly kind of reverts to that ebullient dwarf that you first met. Ebullient?
Yep. I totally envision at the tail end of this, after, knock on wood, presumably we're victorious. Hori goes, all right, we beat him. Smack.
Okay, so I think we can wrap things up here and carry on next week with the conclusion of this, because there'll be some fights, and we'll see who survives to conclude the adventure.
Are we doing points?
Yeah, so I hadn't really given this much thought, but were we doing 1 point with, which campaign were we doing 1 point with?
That was the Warhammer thing, I think, because I was being a jackass.
Ah, okay. Well, I was thinking that perhaps we would just go with 1 point, because you're pretty.
Because you want to be a jackass too.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Chiefly. I mean, yeah, I think we'll go with 1 point for everyone, and because you are fairly substantial heroes even now.
Yep. Cool.
Any questions before we wrap up?
Not yet. Other than, how do we kill a bunch of trolls without all dying?
Yes, good question.
We need to have Hamlin learn a song that draws them out into the sun.
Here comes the. Anyway, mind.
I got that reference.
Okay, so I just am kind of curious your initial thoughts on how this all went tonight.
It was
I
good.
enjoyed it.
Yep, I enjoyed it.
I will be
Very
more
good.
interested to see how the actual hope and other stuff, the hope and miserable and shadow, I'll definitely be more interested in seeing how that works later down the road.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like a Benny system, but it's kind of not. It's there as a benefit,
Right.
but there's a cost, and so
Right.
I don't know how you juggle that, except that it's there as an option. If you never use it, great, and maybe my initial thought on this is if you're so good at your skills anyway, it may be a moot point to have it at all. And maybe that's the difference between how Tor, or the One Ring, approaches the mechanic, vice Dungeon Fantasy, where you've got high-powered people. On the other hand, you haven't gotten into combat, where perhaps burning some of those points will become more critical. So yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how it works too.
Cool.
All right, well, I think I am ready to do the outro, so here we go. If you're watching this, thank you. And if you have questions, corrections, suggestions, feel free to leave a comment here or find us on Discord. Please consider liking and subscribing to our YouTube and Twitch channels. And thank you for watching. Olympus out.
Bye.
Peace.